Chapter 3008. In order to win over the Hu people and the Yi clan, Xianzheng had decided to strip Su Fong of his right to participate in the Jiuquan Heavens Chosen Finals. It was no different from handing Su Fong over to the Hu people and the Yi clan. At that time, Xianzheng had thought that Su Fong was only a genius with some talent, so it was fine to abandon him. At most, he would feel some regret. However, at this moment, if Hen Wuxiang was really Su Fong, it would be a heavy blow to Xianzheng's reputation. Even if he had the support of the Zhong, Xian, 5 divine families, how could he convince the masses to become the future leader of the human race? What was even more ridiculous was that he had actually planned to win over Su Fong for his own use. Xianzheng felt a burning sensation on his face as a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. He sent a message to Hu Ditian with his divine sense. Hu Ditian, you can kill in this battle. Hu Ditian was stunned, then smiled faintly. The corners of his lips curled up into a smile that was filled with murderous intent. Tuo Qianji, do you think that Hen Wuxiang is Su Fong? Wine Saint was also unsure as he secretly sent a message to Tuo Qianji. What do you think, Lord Wine Saint? It's possible. Who would have thought that after Xianzheng stripped him of his right to participate in the Jiuquan Heavens Chosen Finals, he actually changed his identity and entered the top 10. He even fought with Hu Ditian for first place. Lord Wine Saint, don't be happy too early. If Hen Wuxiang is really Su Fong, how can Xianzheng and the 5 divine families let him go? Su Fong dares to participate in the Jiuquan Heavens Chosen Finals. Naturally, he has a way to deal with all the troubles. When the time comes, I'm afraid that Xianzheng and the 5 divine families won't be able to clean up the mess. Hen Wuxiang is Su Fong. Dongxian Hui Wang, Kuei Ziyu, and the rest looked at Su Fong in the dual space, their minds buzzing. They could not accept the fact that Hen Wuxiang was Su Fong. If it's really that bastard Su Fong, Sima Xiao Xiao stared at Su Fong as her ears burned. She had once told Hen Wuxiang that the person she admired was Su Fong. How could she endure this? Long Tianzi said to Yi Feishu in disbelief. Could that Hen Wuxiang really be Su Fong? Yi Feishu's eyes were filled with resentment. If he's really Su Fong, that will be the best. This time, he won't be able to escape from the suppression of the 5 great god tribes. Dong Xin Dao, Yin was struck by a sudden realization. No wonder Master wanted me to lose to Hen Wuxiang. So Master knew that Hen Wuxiang was Su Fong and hoped that he could create a miracle. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Billions of cultivators were discussing this matter. Who's Su Fong? Dongshuan's #1 genius, because he killed Hu people's only son, Hu Yufei, and Yi clan's young mistress, Yi Fian. He was disqualified from the Jiuquan Heaven selection by the Board of Elders. Crazy. This child is crazy indeed. He even dared to kill the Hu people and Yi clan's disciples. After being disqualified, he actually changed his identity to participate in the Jiuquan Heaven selection. This time, the Board of Elders and the 5 great god tribes will be slapped in the face. Whether Hen Wuxiang is Su Fong or not, we can't be sure yet. Let's wait and see. Whether he is or not, there's a good show to watch this time. Hu Ditian stared at Su Fong and said in a cold voice, whether you're Su Fong or not, I'm going to suppress you this time. If you're Su Fong, it'll be even better. I'll settle the old score of you killing Hu Yufei. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hu Ditian released his avatars one after another. There were a total of 7 avatars, each wearing an emperor's robe of different colors: yellow, red, black, purple, white, gold, and silver. The aura they exuded was different as well. Hu Ditian shouted coldly, I've cultivated 7 avatars in total. They are the Wisdom Emperor, the Slaughter Emperor, the Tyrant Emperor, the Vicious Emperor, the War Emperor, the Evil Emperor, and the Holy Emperor. Each avatar has extraordinary abilities. There has never been a Dao Lord cultivator qualified to make me use my avatar's abilities. Even Dongshuan's Dao Yin isn't qualified to fight with my avatars. Hen Wuxiang, you should feel honored. You're only forced to use 7 avatars because you can't use the Imperial Seal anymore. How dare you boast so shamelessly? Su Fong sneered disdainfully, but he was shocked inwardly. He didn't expect Hu Detian to have cultivated 7 avatars, and all of them were of the Tao of Dominion. As long as I can suppress you, who cares what kind of skill or technique he has? Dai Hen Wuxiang. Hu Detian waved his arm, and the 7 avatars charged towards Su Fong. Each of the 7 Dharmakayas had different abilities. The Wisdom Emperor's ability was similar to the Emperor's heart cage. He held the Pearl of Wisdom in his hand and was filled with the aura of politics and conspiracy. The Slaughter Emperor was like the Blood Demon Avatar. He was filled with killing intent, but he also had the domineering aura of dominating life and death. The Tyrant Emperor had the aura of a supreme dominator that could dominate the heavens and earth. The Vicious Emperor was like a ferocious god that had descended to the mortal realm. The War Emperor was majestic in his golden armor. The Evil Emperor was filled with evil energy, and the Holy Emperor was sacred and majestic, making all living beings worship him. When the 7 avatars appeared, the battle space instantly turned into the world of emperors. Swoosh! Swoosh! Su Fong released his Heavenly Path Avatar, Violet Fate Avatar, Profound Yellow Avatar, Blood Demon Avatar, Primordial Spirit Avatar, and Profound Yang Avatar. Together with his physical body, they charged towards Hu Detian's 7 avatars. His physical body displayed the Supreme Eye of Future, the heavenly divination solution, and engaged in a battle of wills and minds with Hu Detian's Wisdom Emperor Avatar. No matter how powerful the Wisdom Emperor Avatar was, Su Fong easily neutralized it with the heavenly divination solution. The Profound Yang Avatar displayed the extreme Tao Mystic Yang technique. The Profound Yang celestial aura could restrain all evil energy, allowing the Profound Yang Avatar to suppress Hu Detian's Evil Emperor Avatar. The Violet Fate Avatar continuously devoured the fortune of Hu Detian's Holy Emperor Avatar, causing the Holy Emperor Avatar to lose its dignity. The other avatars were also fighting and killing each other. An unprecedented battle unfolded in the battle space. That's Su Fong. Hen Wuxiang, it's really Su Fong. Su Fong's avatar had completely exposed his identity. The cultivators from Dongxian and the geniuses who had fought with Su Fong exclaimed in surprise. Xian Zheng's eyes were brimming with icy, killing intent. Hupa, the Yi Clan's Tao Saint, and the other experts of the 5 divine families, as well as their disciples and cultivators, were also filled with murderous intent. They secretly deployed their experts to make sure Su Fong couldn't escape this time. Haha, Su Fong didn't disappoint me indeed. Wine Saint guffawed, feeling extremely pleased. Hearing his laughter, Sichuan Tianqing also understood that the disciple Daozu had taken in Dongxian was Su Fong, the one who had defeated him, Hen Wuxiang. My talent and ability are indeed not as good as Su Fong's. No wonder Master favors him so much. Sichuan Tianqing's feelings could be imagined. Jealousy, anger, indignation, all kinds of conflicting emotions were present. Dongxian Huiwang and Kuei Ziyu were even more embarrassed. They had been grateful to Su Fong for saving Dongxian Huiwang and preventing him from being humiliated. Now that Hen Wuxiang had turned into Su Fong, their feelings were extremely complicated. Dongxian Daoyan, Dongxian Wuhan, Dongxian Lai, and the other top geniuses of Dongxian Pavilion were also shocked. In their hearts, Su Fong was just a genius with outstanding talent. Compared to them, Su Fong was far from them. Now that Su Fong had reached such heights and was even above them, how could they not be shocked and surprised? Gu Qianqi, Shu Chong Xiao, and the other cultivators from Dongxian began to chant Su Fong's name in their excitement and shock. Many of the hundreds of millions of cultivators in the entire space were also chanting Su Fong's name. Everyone knew about the domineering nature of Zhongshuan's 5 divine tribes. Now that an ordinary cultivator had suddenly appeared and dared to challenge the 5 divine tribes' prestige and compete with Hu Detian for the first place at Jiushuan, the crowd was naturally in high spirits and cheered for Su Fong. Su Fong and Hu Detian's avatars were still fighting fiercely. The first to succumb was Hu Detian's Wisdom King avatar. Exhausted, his thoughts and will crumbled, and his avatar began to shatter as well. Then, it was the Evil King avatar. Suppressed by Su Fong's mystical yang force, the evil aura of the Evil King avatar was on the verge of death as it shattered layer by layer. Su Fang's purple fate avatar had also devoured the sacred emperor avatar's providence, losing its sacred and majestic aura. Break! Su Fang's crimson fury avatar activated Slayer's heart abruptly, releasing a terrifying murderous intent, and the sound of heavens will like the rumbling of a heavenly drum. Slayer's avatar that was fighting Crimson Fury avatar crumbled under the impact of the sound of heaven's will and the murderous aura, turning into pieces that shot out in all directions. Su Fang, how dare you destroy my avatars? You and I are irreconcilable. Hu Detian's physical body let out a thunderous roar and kept the remaining 6 avatars into his Taoist palace. Su Fang kept his 6 avatars as well and sneered at Hu Detian. Didn't you say you wanted to step on my head? Why aren't you so arrogant now? Su Fang, I swear I'll kill you. Heavenly Imperial Seal, suppress. Hu Detian activated the Heavenly Imperial Seal in a fit of rage. In the battle with Dongxian Daoyan, Hu Detian had exhausted too much of his magical power by activating the Heavenly Imperial Seal. This was also the reason why his 7 avatars were no match for Su Fang. He activated the Heavenly Imperial Seal once again, planning to stake everything on this one attack. Boom! The Heavenly Imperial Seal released a yellow Xin Guang, its divine aura enveloping the surroundings and shackling Su Fang within the world. Illusory figures of intent that could not be seen with the naked eye condensed continuously from the world. They were densely packed and charged towards Su Fang like a tidal wave. The Heavenly Imperial Seal was a supreme Xian bow refined by Hu people's experts by absorbing the blood and intent of countless emperors and cultivators who cultivated the Tao domination. These illusory figures of intent were the Xian bow that came from those emperors and cultivators, immortal and indestructible. Su Fang was shackled by the Heavenly Imperial Seal's divine aura. The divine aura began to shrink under the pressure of the terrifying intent and was about to be swallowed by the countless illusory figures of intent. Chapter 3009. Countless willpower phantoms instantly engulfed Su Fang. Just as Hu Detian was feeling proud, the Hu people's divine sage, Hu Pa, suddenly shouted, "Be careful! Su Fang has mastered the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. He can restrain fate and wills. The heavenly fate Imperial Seal's wills cannot threaten him." Su Fang had once used the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to kill Hu Yufei. Hu Pa naturally knew about this. Seeing that Hu Detian was getting carried away, he quickly reminded him. Hu Detian instantly shivered. His body was filled with coldness. His previous pride instantly disappeared. The wine sage sneered at Hu Pa. "Hu Pa, why don't you go and replace Hu Detian?" Hu Pa snorted coldly and did not say anything else. At this moment, Su Fang had already started to use the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. He chanted the profound and incomparably profound essence of the great Tao through the heavenly fate avatar's primordial spirit. An illusory aura of Tao runes swept out from Su Fang's Jioshuan Tao palace and surged towards the wills that had already engulfed him. Chi chi chi. It felt like a group of moths flying towards a raging fire. The wills that came out from the heavenly fate Imperial Seal's divine power started to burn the moment they came into contact with the aura of Tao runes. In an instant, they were burned to ashes. The heavenly secret life shrinking technique was above all living beings. It controlled fate and crushed all wills. Its power was just so domineering. In the time it took for sparks to fly off a piece of flint, Tao runes surged and surged. It was unknown how many there were. The wills were burned to death. The wills and shackles around Su Fang were swept away in an instant. Heavenly secret life shrinking technique. What a good Su Fang, to have grasped such a powerful divine ability with endless means. If I don't kill him now, he will definitely overshadow me in the future. He will also be a huge threat to my Hu tribe. With Xian Zheng's permission, if I don't kill him now, when will I? Hu Detian's killing intent was revealed. He released all his remaining wills and sent them into the heavenly fate Imperial Seal. Chi, chi. The blood-red light on the Imperial Seal surged, and it quickly turned into the words, "Serve the heavens and guard the Tao." They exuded an aura that could suppress the heavens and earth as they descended on Su Fang. You want to kill my Su Fang? How can I let you do as you wish? Primordial Chi, formless heavenly wheels. Primordial Heavenly Wheels. Su Fang also used his final trump card. All the primordial qi in the depths of the chaotic vortex in the Jiuquan Dao Palace surged out and instantly fused with his body. Next, Su Fang stretched out his right hand and flicked his finger. A ring of chaotic light flew out from his fingertip and quickly flew towards the Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal. Puff! Puff! When the Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal's divine might came into contact with Su Fang's Hongmeng Tianluan, it was like a cold wind meeting a blazing sun. It shattered layer by layer, but it only managed to slow down the Hongmeng Tianluan by a little. At this moment, Su Fang no longer only had a sliver of primordial qi. It was not just a sliver, but a ball. When unleashed by the formless heavenly wheels, its power exceeded that of any other supreme abhijna. What kind of supreme abhijna is that? It can actually nullify the power of the Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal? Extraordinary, extraordinary. Su Fang is heaven-defying. That is the formless heavenly wheels. However, the power that Su Fang unleashed is superior to any other power. It contains the fundamental laws of the heavenly way. Thus, it can crush all spells and destroy all things. Hu Ditian is going to lose. Many people exclaimed in shock. Many of the Tao saints on the east side of the spiritual altar also stood up. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Even Xian Zhang's spell body in the battle of technique space was shocked. Boom! The Hongmeng Tianluan collided with the Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal. The Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal was sent flying. The majestic yellow light that it had previously exuded was no longer there. The divine inscriptions on it were shattered and fine cracks appeared on the entire seal. Splat! The Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal contained Hu Ditian's consciousness, but it was also destroyed in this collision. Hu Ditian had one of his spell bodies destroyed and then used all his strength to activate the Heavenly Fate Imperial Seal. He was already in a state of near exhaustion. Now that his consciousness had been destroyed, it was one disaster after another. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was as pale as a sheet of paper. The dominating aura that he had previously exuded was gone, and he became dispirited and listless. Although Su Fang had used up all of his primordial chaos, the energy in the Tao Palace and the spell bodies had not been greatly depleted. He had only used up some of his life force when using the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking technique, but it was still within his limits. Furthermore, he still had powerful techniques that he had not used. Killing Hu Ditian now would be a piece of cake, and he had a reason to kill Hu Ditian. Hu Ditian, kneel down and admit defeat. Su Fang shouted coldly at Hu Ditian, his domineering aura surging. Who would have thought that Hu Ditian would actually lose? Su Fang has created a miracle and defeated Hu Ditian. He will be Jiuquan's #1 genius. Su Fang is mighty. Many cultivators began to loudly shout Su Fang's name. How can I let Jiuquan's #1 heaven's chosen fall into the hands of a cultivator who has been abandoned by the heavens? Hu Po's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Su Fang was about to charge at Hu Ditian. Suddenly, Xian Zheng transmitted a divine thought to Su Fang. Su Fang, you cannot win this battle. You can only lose. Su Fang sneered in his heart and replied bluntly, Lord Xianzheng, everything about Jiuquan's heaven's chosen is up to you to decide. Are you saying that even the #1 is up to you to decide who wins and who loses? How can a mere Taoist master like you be so presumptuous in front of me? You only have 2 choices. Admit defeat, and I will allow you to obtain 2nd place with the identity of Hen Wuxiang. You will still be rewarded, and you can also become the common disciple of the Tao ancestor. I can even recruit you under my command and put you in an important position, allowing you to have a boundless future. What if I refuse to give up? If you insist, I will have no choice but to expose your identity and strip you of your qualifications in front of everyone. You won't even be able to take 2nd place. So, Jiuquan's heaven's chosen is just a game for you people with power. Lord Xianzheng, if you let Hu Ditian take 1st place, what benefits will Hu people give you? Hearing Su Fang's mockery, Xianzheng's Dharma body's eyes were as cold as ice. The voice of his primordial spirit was bone-chilling. Tell me your choice. Don't wait until I lose my patience. Lord Xianzheng, your threats are useless against me. Since I dared to come here, I naturally won't be afraid of these things. I, Su Fong, don't care about the rewards of Jiuxuan's Heaven's Chosen. I, Su Fong, don't care about the empty title of Jiuxuan's #1 genius. I changed my appearance and participated in the Jiuxuan's Heaven's Chosen finals. My purpose is to prove myself. Su Fong's primordial spirit let out an unyielding voice. Then, ignoring Xianzheng, he pounced on Su Fong. Murderous intent flashed in Xianzheng's eyes. He was about to release his thoughts to shackle Su Fong. Suddenly, an illusory and majestic voice sounded directly in Xianzheng's mind. Xianzheng, if you dare to touch a single hair on Su Fong, I will disregard my status and directly obliterate you. Xianzheng's entire body seemed to be frozen in an instant. Waves of cold air gushed out from his back. Even his thoughts were almost frozen. His heart was set off monstrous waves. Looking at Su Fong, Hu Detian was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. As the Taoist of the Hu people, Hu Detian's talent was peerless. Since the day of his cultivation, he had rarely tasted failure. In this Jiuxuan's Heaven's Chosen finals, he had swept away all obstacles. He had originally thought that the #1 spot in Jiuxuan's Heaven's Chosen finals was already in his bag. Who would have thought that the situation would suddenly reverse? He had lost the first thing he had. It was as if he had fallen from the clouds to the ground. What was even more unbearable for him was that the one who had defeated him was the target of the Hu people's pursuit. Moreover, it was Su Fong, whom he had never taken seriously. Su Fong, you're the one who is seeking death. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Hu Detian's eyes revealed a ruthless and callous expression. He waved his hand and took out a rune talisman. He released his power and crushed it. Chi! A ray of sword light shot into the sky. In an instant, it transformed into an eerie white ray of sword chi that was hundreds of meters long. It carried the supreme aura of a ruler, like the sword of a king. This ray of sword chi far surpassed the Tao profound realm. It even surpassed the limits of the sect elder's strength. In other words, it was second only to Tao saints. Even if Su Fong's strength was heaven-defying, it was absolutely impossible for him to resist such an astonishing attack. Rune Talisman? Such a powerful rune talisman can only be formed by at least Tao saints. It is definitely not created by Hu Detian's own strength. This is against the rules. The Jiuxuan's Heaven's Chosen finals prohibits the use of rune talismans. Hu Detian is clearly breaking the rules. Why didn't Lord Xianzheng stop him? Hundreds of millions of cultivators cried out in shock. However, Xianzheng's Dharma body inside the battle space did not move. It was as if he did not see this scene. Hu Detian, you dare to kill Su Fong. I will kill you. The wine saint let out a thunderous roar and was about to teleport to the battle space. Go back. Hooper exploded with an aura that could destroy everything and sent the wine saint flying back. Despicable. Hu Detian is so shameless. How could Jiuxuan's higher-ups sit by and watch Su Fong be killed? Shu Wanjin, Dongxian Daoyan, Dongxian Wuhan, and the rest all shouted angrily. Hu Detian looked at Su Fong. His eyes were gleaming with smugness and ruthlessness. After I kill you, Jiuxuan's God Realm's #1 will still be mine. Then, Hu Detian's mind moved. The peerless sword energy cut through all obstacles and slashed at Su Fong. Su Fong suddenly flashed a domineering smile. His eyes that looked at Hu Detian were filled with mockery. He ignored the sword energy that came at him instantly. Xianzheng was stunned when he saw Su Fong's expression. Then, he realized something and shouted coldly at Hu Detian, "Watch out." Hu Detian was stunned. Then, he sensed something behind him. Turning around, he saw Su Fong's silhouette condensing rapidly. The silhouette in front of him quickly turned into nothingness and was swallowed by the sword energy in an instant. Boom! Su Fong punched out with his fist. This punch was condensed with Gui's poisonous gas and the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine's blood strands. It landed on Hu Detian's back. The highly permeable poisonous gas and blood strands were all injected into Hu Detian's body. Chapter 30:10. It turned out that Su Fong had used the heaven-altering art of mediating destiny to jump from the present to the future. The moment Hu Detian crushed the rune talisman, the power of the heaven-altering art of mediating destiny exploded on Su Fong's body, allowing Su Fong to transcend the constraints of time and space and arrive in the future. He arrived behind Hu Detian a split second earlier than the present time. The one killed by Hu Detian's rune talisman was Su Fong, who existed in that split second in the present time. The heaven-altering art of mediating destiny was so amazing that it allowed Su Fong to arrive in the future from the present time. Although it was only a split second, it was enough to change life and death, giving Su Fong a chance to reverse the situation. Because Su Fong now had the heaven-altering Dharma body, his cultivation of the heaven-altering life, shrinking technique, and the mysterious illusion of heaven's expansion had reached a higher level. So Hu Detian didn't notice it at all. Xianzheng's Dharma body was focused on the wine sage to prevent him from saving Su Fong. He didn't expect Su Fong to have such an extraordinary and peerless divine ability. By the time he realized it, he immediately warned Hu Detian, but it was already too late. Hu Detian was in a miserable state. After Gue merged with the Mercury spirit, not only was her poison amazing, but she also had the characteristic of being pervasive like Mercury. The blood threads of the heaven-piercing Blood King vine also had an amazing penetrating ability. Su Fong punched the poison and blood threads into Hu Detian's body. The poison and blood threads instantly permeated every corner of his body, including the inside of his Dao Palace. Sizzle. Under the corrosion of the poison, Hu Detian's body was oozing pus and blood from the inside out. His skin began to fall off in large patches, and his flesh began to rot. Soon, his corroded bones were exposed. The blood threads of the heaven-piercing Blood King vine were also crazily devouring Hu Detian's blood and Dao Palace, which began to collapse. Ah! Hu Detian let out a shrill scream, like an evil spirit crying. His voice penetrated the spatial barrier of the battle of magical powers, causing the hair of billions of cultivators to stand on end. Everyone, including Xianzheng, was shocked and horrified. Hu Detian is finished this time. Hu Detian only has himself to blame. Serves him right. What magical power did Su Fong use to dodge Hu Detian's shocking talisman attack? Amidst the shock, the crowd was discussing animatedly. Countless gazes filled with reverence fell on Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong was not only domineering in the eyes of the crowd, but also incomparably unfathomable. The many Dao saints on the Eastern Spell altar looked at the battle space in shock. They did not expect the situation to take such a turn. The Sage of Wine laughed domineeringly and said, "Good. Well done. It will be even better if you could kill all the remaining Dharmakayas." Whoosh! Whoosh! Hu Detian's Dharmakaya flew out of the Dao Palace. He had cultivated a total of 7 Dharmakayas. Now, there were only 5 left. One of them had been killed by Su Fong, and the other one, which was already severely injured, had been devoured by the heaven-piercing Blood King vine's blood threads. His physical body was still being corroded. Soon, only a set of grayish-black bones were left. Losing one's physical body did not mean death as long as one's Dharmakaya remained. As long as one took over a suitable physical body, one could be reborn. However, in this way, not only would one's vitality be greatly damaged, but one's strength and talent would also be damaged. Hu people's path chosen Hu Detian would be completely destroyed. Su Fong, how dare you destroy my physical body? I will not live under the same sky as you. Hu Detian's 5 Dharmakayas roared angrily and were about to attack Su Fong. At this moment, Xianzheng released his divine power to stop Hu Detian's Dharmakayas. He shouted coldly, "Hu Detian, stop! Su Fong, how dare you kill my Hu people's path chosen? I will destroy you." Hu people's Dao Saint, Hu Pe, let out a roar filled with murderous intent and was about to attack from the east side of the altar. Wine Sage's figure flashed and blocked in front of Hu Pe. He chuckled and said, "Hu Pe, how dare you kill Jioshuan's heaven's chosen?" Hu Pe was entangled by Wine Sage and could not escape. He could only shout towards Xianzheng's Dharmakaya in the battle of technique space. "Lord Xianzheng, Hu people demand justice." Wine Sage also shouted in a deep voice, "Lord Xianzheng, many pairs of eyes are watching. We will see how you deal with this. If you deal with this unfairly, I will not agree." Tua Qinji also suddenly said, "I also hope that Lord Xianzheng will deal with this fairly." I have my own decision. Why do I need you to remind me? Xianzheng snorted. Then, Xianzheng looked indifferently at Su Fong. How dare you destroy Hu Detian's body in front of me and cut off the path of a peerless genius of my human race? You look down on me, ignore the rules of Jiuquan's Heaven's Chosen, and kill a human genius. Do you know your crime? Su Fong's eyes were calm as he casually said, Lord Xianzheng's meaning is that Hu Detian can kill me, and I can only wait to be killed by him. But I can't kill him. If I resist, I will be daring and looking down on Lord Xianzheng. Is this a crime? Then why does Jiuquan's Heaven's Chosen need to compete? Just give first place to Hu Detian. Xianzheng let out a thunderous roar. You still dare to quibble? What respect do you have for me and the elders? Su Fong looked at Xianzheng and revealed an unruly smile. Hu Detian wanted to kill me, but Lord Xianzheng turned a blind eye to it. I destroyed Hu Detian's body, but you said that I looked down on you and Jiuquan's Heaven's Chosen. I argued for myself, but this became a new crime. Lord Xianzheng, if you want to kill me, why don't you just say so? Why do you have to come up with such high-sounding excuses? Xianzheng shouted with dignity. Su Fong, you were disqualified from Jiuquan's Heaven's Chosen long ago, but you changed your appearance and identity to participate in the finals. This is a great crime. Great crime? Su Fong wiped his face with his right hand and the mask fell off, revealing his true appearance. His aura also changed greatly. Su Fong, Hen Wuxiang is indeed Su Fong. Cries of surprise rose and fell in the air. Wine Saint laughed heartily. It's you indeed. You're not simple. You're actually the top genius of the human race. Ha ha ha, Su Fong, he's a bastard. Sima Xiao Xiao cursed in her heart. Then her face flushed red. Su Fong, Yi Feishu and Long Tianxi's eyes were filled with endless hatred and resentment. Many cultivators from Dongxian cheered thunderously. Hu people and the Yi clan have gone too far. The disciples and experts of the two clans tried to kill me time and time again. Hu Yufei even wanted to steal my Dao partner and asked the assassins of the Assassin League to kill me. I had no choice but to kill Hu Yufei to protect myself. The young lady of the Yi clan, Yi Fian, even wanted to devour my cultivator, but she was killed by the backlash. It had nothing to do with me. I'm the top genius of the Eastern Xian Divine Domain in Jiuquan, but Lord Xianzheng stripped me of my right to participate in the finals in order to show goodwill to the Hu people and the Yi clan. This caused me to be hunted down by the Hu people, the Yi clan, Feng Daocheng, Long Tianxi, and other geniuses. If it weren't for the Dark Mother Daozu, how could I have survived? May I ask Lord Xianzheng, the Jiuquan Divine Selection is to select geniuses for the human race. As the Grand Elder of the Elder Council, are you making decisions for the geniuses or for the Hu people and the Yi clan? What right do you have to strip me of my right to participate in the finals? What crime did I commit by taking part in the Jiuquan Divine Selection under false pretenses? Su Fong raised his head and spoke loudly. Xianzheng couldn't find a reason to reprimand Su Fong. I finally understand that the Jiuquan Divine Selection is just a game for those with power and influence. It's not really to select the true geniuses for the human race. Lord Xianzheng talks about fairness and fairness, but it's just a lip service. There's no need for Lord Xianzheng to do anything. You people regard the first place of the Jiuquan Divine Selection as your destiny, but I, Su Fong, regard it as nothing more than grass. Therefore, I, Su Fong, do not want this first place. Su Fong's domineering and decisive voice caused the entire space to fall silent. A moment later, hundreds of millions of cultivators were in an uproar. What kind of glory was it to be the top genius of the human race? What kind of amazing benefits would it bring? Countless geniuses and major forces in the Jiuquan Divine Realm had tried every possible means to obtain this title, but Su Fong had directly announced that he didn't want it. Others regarded it as their life, but Su Fong regarded it as nothing more than grass and discarded it like a pair of worn-out clogs. What kind of domineering and courage was this? Crazy. Su Fong has really gone crazy. He actually gave up on the title and benefits of being the top genius of the Jiuquan Divine Realm. Idiot. He doesn't want the title and fortune that is already in his hands. Idiot. Domineering. Mighty. This is the true number one genius of the Jiuquan. Compared to Su Fong, Hu Ditian is nothing. He's just an arrogant and despotic villain who relies on Hu people's influence. This time, Su Fong has slapped Xian Zheng and the elders' faces in public. This is so satisfying, so satisfying. Su Fong destroyed Hu Ditian's physical body and offended Xian Zheng's dignity in public. Xian Zheng, the Hu people, and the Yi clan won't let him go. It's even more impossible for him to become the top genius of the Jiuquan. Him giving up now is actually the wisest choice. This kid has great wisdom. Everyone was shocked by Su Fong's decision and was discussing it animatedly. Most of the cultivators were convinced by Su Fong's domineering attitude and admired him. Some people thought that Su Fong was stupid, while others were worried about Su Fong and how he would end up. Have you said enough? Xian Zheng's indifferent and dignified voice sounded, immediately suppressing the clamor of discussion. Then, Xian Zheng looked at Su Fong, his lofty and dignified demi, Daozu fully displayed. This seat disqualifies you from participating in the Jiuquan's Chosen One finals. Regardless of right or wrong, this is the same as the heavenly law. You enter the finals under false pretenses and deceive this seat and the elders. You have no right to be number one. Even if you want it, this seat won't give it to you. Sir, you're the high and mighty Demi, Daozu, the grand elder of the elders and the future leader of the human race. I, Su Fong, am but an insignificant ant. How can I not obey your orders? Su Fong chuckled, his laughter full of anger and mockery, then flew out of the battle space. Chapter 30:11. Even though Xian Zheng did not dare to make a move against Su Fong, he would not let Su Fong off just like that. Xian Zheng was ambitious and wholeheartedly wanted to become the future leader of the human race. Originally, he wanted to use this Jiuquan heaven selection to raise his prestige. The matter was made public by Su Fong. It was an extremely heavy blow to Xian Zheng's face and prestige. How could he convince the masses? Xian Zheng snorted, grabbed a 9-colored token, and issued a majestic voice towards Su Fong. Su Fong looked down on the Jiuquan elder group and destroyed the Jiuquan heaven selection. This seat has decided to remove his name from the Tianxian ranking. From now on, he will not be protected by the Jiuquan heaven selection. As soon as his voice fell, he activated the token and released a Xian Guang, which swept past Su Fong. Su Fong immediately sensed that the connection with the Jiuquan heaven selection was forcefully and tyrannically severed by a supreme will. The protective power from the Jiuquan heaven selection vanished without a trace in an instant. The token in Xian Zheng's hand was called the Jiuquan Supreme Token. It contained the supreme will of all the Daozu powerhouses in the Jiuquan divine realm. It represented the human race's supreme prestige and authority. It was given to Xian Zheng to let him preside over the Jiuquan heaven selection and temporarily lead the human race's powerhouses. The Jiuquan heaven selection was jointly created by the human race's Daozu. Even the Daozu powerhouses could not easily change it. But Xian Zheng possessed this token, and he could easily do it. Su Fong's name was removed from the Tianxian ranking, which also means that he is no longer protected by the Jiuquan heaven selection. Powerhouses surpassing the Dao profound realm can attack him without restraint. Su Fong is in danger now. Su Fong killed Hu Yufei and Yi Fian. The Hu and Yi clans have been hunting him down. This time, he killed Hu Ditian's body, which is equivalent to destroying a peerless genius of the Hu people. How could the Hu people let him go? Xian Zheng's actions are tantamount to giving Su Fong to a strong enemy. It's obvious that he wants to kill Su Fong to vent his anger. Countless cultivators were shocked by Xian Zheng's decision, and many of them began to worry about Su Fong. Let's see how you die this time. Yi Feishu, Long Tianci, and the others looked at Su Fong with delight. Western mystic Tianqing revealed a cold smile. Your talent and strength indeed surpass mine. However, you are too arrogant and despotic, offending so many powers and powerhouses. How can you not die? After you die, this seat will still be the first genius of Xixian. Su Fong run. Xu Wanjin secretly transmitted a thought to Su Fong with her essence spirit. Dongxin Daoyin, Dongxin Wuhan, and the others also sent messages to Su Fong. Without waiting for Su Fong to respond, Yi Feishu roared angrily, Su Fong, you have killed the disciples of the Yi clan. The Yi clan must avenge this. Then, Yi Feishu leaped from the west side of the altar and charged toward Su Fang. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 30 cultivators also charged out from the seats below the battle space. They were all cultivators from the Yi clan and the Hu people. However, the true powerhouses did not make a move. Not only did Hu Pa and the Yi clan's Dao Saint not make a move on the west side of the altar, the other powerhouses who had surpassed the realm of Dao Mystic did not make a move either. Su Fang's earlier battle with Hu Ditian had depleted more than half of his mana and energy. In addition, he had used up a large amount of his vitality to cast the art of mediating destiny. His aura was weak, and he looked like he was in his 50s. If the Hu people and Yi clan's powerhouses were to make a move in this state in front of hundreds of millions of cultivators, wouldn't it be embarrassing for the two clans? Su Fang, you have humiliated this seat. How can this seat let you go? Long Tianci hesitated for a moment before following Yi Feishu and charging out of the west side of the altar. His Dao heart was shattered, which meant that he had lost more than half of his strength. He was just putting on an act now. On one hand, he wanted to regain his confidence from Su Fang by participating in the battle to kill Su Fang. On the other hand, he wanted to get a share of the loot from Su Fang by getting his hands on Su Fang's Luck Spider and Purple Fate Avatar. The 5 divine clans are so shameless. They actually sent out so many powerhouses just to deal with a Dao Master Cultivator after a fierce battle. Su Fang is in danger this time. Hundreds of millions of cultivators witnessed the scene of Su Fang being besieged by so many cultivators. They were furious and felt that it was unfair for Su Fang, but no one dared to say anything. Apart from Yi Feishu and Long Tianci, the rest of the 30-plus cultivators were in peak condition. In their opinion, killing Su Fang would be a piece of cake. Whoosh, a black curtain swept out. It turned out that Shu Wanjin had suddenly made a move. She used her divine aura to form a black curtain that enveloped more than a dozen cultivators. Although she couldn't deal with so many powerhouses by herself, it was more than enough to trap them for a dozen breaths of time. At the same time, Su Fang once again used the My Lord's seal of 10 directions. The supreme divine aura that dominated all directions enveloped the surroundings and shackled the other 20-plus powerhouses. Boom, boom, boom. The powerhouses of the Hu and Yi clans used their divine abilities and activated their Xian Bao, instantly shattering the divine aura of the My Lord's seal of 10 directions. However, Gui's attacks came one after another. A grayish-black figure flashed out from Su Fang's body. With a whoosh, his physical body collapsed and turned into a stream of grayish-black blood that rolled towards the powerhouses. 3 Hu people and Yi clan cultivators were immediately drawn into the blood. Although they tried their best to struggle and escape, their flesh was still corroded by the strong poison. It seemed that they wouldn't be able to survive. At the same time, Su Fang's right arm turned into a blood vine and flew out with a whoosh. It wrapped around Yi Feishu, who was behind him, and pulled him to the front. If you don't want the Taoist of the Yi clan to die in my hands, then come at me, Su Fang said with a murderous look. The blood vine wrapped around Yi Feishu's head. With just a thought, it would instantly devour Yi Feishu. Stop, all of you, stop. Yi Feishu shouted with a trembling voice. He didn't expect Su Fang to still have such shocking strength after going through such a huge battle. Not only did he fail to kill Su Fang, he even fell into Su Fang's hands. Naturally, he was shocked and furious. The Yi clan cultivators quickly stopped. The Hu people cultivators hesitated for a moment before charging toward Su Fang. Chi chi chi. Su Fang didn't hesitate to activate the heaven-piercing Blood King vine. It penetrated into Yi Feishu's head and devoured his Dao Palace and blood chi, turning him into a dried corpse. The Taoist of the Yi clan died, just like that. Su Fang, you killed the Taoist of the Yi clan. My clan won't rest until you're dead. The powerhouses of the Yi clan roared and charged towards Su Fang without caring about anything. Even Gui couldn't stop them. This time, I'll let the heaven-piercing Blood King vine have its fill. A ruthless glint flashed in Su Fang's eyes. His body changed rapidly. Blood-red lines appeared on the surface of his skin. They quickly condensed into blood-red vines and flew toward the experts of the two clans to attack him. At this moment, other than Su Fong's head, the rest of his body had turned into blood vines. His entire body was emitting an evil aura. He looked extremely strange and terrifying. Although he was far from being comparable to the main body of the heaven-piercing Blood King vine, the power he displayed was extremely shocking. Chi chi chi. The blood vines pierced through the defenses of the cultivators and wrapped around their bodies. They crazily devoured their life force and blood chi. Su Fong's originally weak life force was recovering at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. The cultivators of the Hu and Yi clans were also extraordinary. They burst out with powerful strength and destroyed the blood vines one after another. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine had fused with Su Fong. It was also a part of Su Fong's physical body. Now that the heaven-piercing Blood King vine was damaged, it meant that his life force was being depleted. However, the rate of depletion was far slower than Su Fong's devouring speed. After devouring Yifei and the 6 cultivators of the Hu and Yi clans, Su Fong's aura became even more majestic. Su Fong has been taken over by a foreign clan. All human cultivators can kill him. Hoopa finally couldn't hold it in and shouted at the billions of cultivators. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, hundreds of cultivators charged out from a space. Some of these cultivators came from the 5 great divine clans. Some came from the Imperial Divine Realm and other divine realms. They wanted to kill Su Fong to curry favor with the 5 great divine clans. The blood vines that Su Fong had transformed into were swallowed by the powerful attacks of the cultivators. Su Fong had no choice but to keep the heaven-piercing Blood King vine. He used the 10,000 celestial wheels and condensed layers of light wheels to form a strong defense around him. Now's our chance. Long Tianxi commanded the Violet Fate Heavenly Dragon from behind and charged toward Su Fong. He wanted to devour Su Fong's fate and seize Su Fong's Luck Spider and Violet Fate spell body. Long Tianxi, you despicable person. Su Fong roared angrily. Mystery activated the Blackwater Soul Fishing Diagram in his Jiuquan Dao Palace. A golden fish hook flew out, bypassing the surrounding divine power shackles and vibrations, and landed on Long Tianxi's head. When the fish hook was retracted, there was an additional shadow of Long Tianxi on the hook. It was Long Tianxi's original soul. Su Fong, spare my life. Long Tianxi's soul revealed a terrified expression and begged Su Fong for mercy. Despicable person like you. What right do you have to live in this world? Su Fong laughed coldly and murderously. Su Fong, I am a disciple of Hong Tian Daozu. How dare you kill me? Hong Tian Supreme will never let you go. Long Tianxi threatened loudly. But Su Fong turned a deaf ear to Long Tianxi's threat. He had Mystery suck Long Tianxi's soul into the Blackwater Soul Fishing Diagram. With Long Tianxi dead, the Violet Fate Heavenly Dragon became an ownerless object. Su Fong's Violet Fate spell body released a beam of violet light and sucked it into the Dao Palace to be sealed. Boom, boom, boom. Su Fong's Heavenly Will defense was also breaking down layer by layer. It looked like it would collapse at any moment. Heavenly Fate Life, Shrinking Art, Conceal Aura. Su Fong used the Heavenly Fate Life, Shrinking Art again the moment he was engulfed by the attacks of the cultivators. He concealed his aura and disappeared from everyone's sight. The cultivators suddenly lost their target. While they were still in shock and astonishment, Su Fong suddenly appeared behind a Hu people's profound Dao expert. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine immediately wrapped around him like a dumpling and sucked him dry. Su Fong recovered some of his life force and energy. He urged the heaven-piercing Blood King vine to dance freely. Gui Gui also began to release a highly toxic aura that spread to the surroundings. More than 100 experts besieged Su Fong, but surprisingly, they couldn't do anything to him. A bunch of useless trash. Hoopa flew into a rage. He finally couldn't hold back and was about to attack. At this time, Wine Sage released a thought to block Hoopa. Chapter 30:12. As one of the higher-ups of Jiuquan and an elder of the Elder Group, how can you fight in front of billions of cultivators? Xian Zheng's original body, which was left on the Eastern spell Altar, shouted coldly. A wave of divine power swept out, causing the Wine Saint and the other Dao Saints to stagger. The Hu people's Dao Saint, Hu Pa, and the Yi clan's Dao Saint took the chance to break free from the Wine Saint and Tuo Qianji's entanglement. They instantly charged towards Su Fang. Xianzheng was obviously doing this on purpose. He allowed Hu Pe and the Yi clan's Dao Saint to kill Su Fang. Su Fang, what are you waiting for? Hu Pe and the Yi clan's Dao Saint attacked Su Fang at the same time. Not only did they want to kill Su Fang, but they also wanted to steal Su Fang's spider. Su Fang is dead for sure. Almost all the cultivators had the same thought at the same time. In the face of two Dao Saints, no matter how heaven-defying Su Fang was, he would only be reduced to ashes. How could he survive? Two juniors, how dare you hurt my disciple? Scram! A cold shout suddenly came from the void. Then, an extremely powerful will and divine power swept out. Daozu's Dao Saint. The divine light of Hu Pe and the Yi clan's Dao Saints changed instantly. The killing intent in their eyes towards Su Fang turned into fear and shock. Under that powerful will, the two Dao Saints trembled like weak chickens. They could not resist at all and were sent flying by the divine power. Their physical bodies shattered layer by layer, becoming a bloody mess. At the same time, they spat out a mouthful of blood, which landed on the eastern floating spell altar. Blood chi gushed out of his shattered body, quickly recovering to its original state. The two of them had just heaved a sigh of relief when another wave of power exploded in their bodies. Their physical bodies shattered again, and fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. The two of them recovered their physical bodies once again. Their auras had become extremely weak. It was obvious that their life force had been damaged, and their vital energy had been greatly damaged. Hu Pe and Yi clan's Dao Saint looked at Su Fang in shock. Their eyes were filled with respect and fear. Billions of cultivators were looking at Su Fang. No one had expected such a turn of events. Xianzheng was also shocked. I did not expect Su Fang to have a Daozu's backing. He did not care about the dignity of a powerful cultivator and attacked a Dao Saint. In the Jiushuan divine territory, the Daozu's Daozu had rarely attacked low-level human cultivators. Su's Daozu's Dao Saint, Su Fang of the Daozu's Dao Saint. However, Su Fang's face was filled with confusion. That was because the person who had attacked was not Dao ancestor Xixian. But why did he say that Su Fang was his disciple? A ray of starlight flashed and transformed into a tall, upright figure. Although his face could not be seen clearly, Su Fang was no stranger to him. This person was none other than Dongxian Daozu. Greetings, Lord Daozu. Greetings, Supreme One. Greetings, Master. Many Dao Saints cupped their fists and bowed. The cultivators from the Eastern Xian divine territory followed suit. Billions of cultivators were shocked and in awe. They could not help but kneel before Dongxian Daozu. While they were shocked, they were also confused. Since when had Su Fang become Dongxian Daozu's disciple? Tuo Qianji, Dongxian Daoyan, Dongxian Wuhan, and the others all looked at Su Fang in shock. They could not understand. Su Fang had not even entered Heaven Pavilion. Since when had he become Dongxian Daozu's disciple? Suddenly, Xixian Daozu's voice came from Su Fang's body. Since when did my disciple become yours? Then, Xixian Daozu's figure condensed in front of Su Fang. Boom! Every cultivator felt as if thunder had struck in their minds. They did not expect Xixian Daozu to appear and claim that Su Fang was his disciple. Although Daozu's disciples were noble, they were not rare. Many of the people present were Daozu's disciples, and they were Daozu's direct disciples. It was extremely rare for two Daozu masters to take in the same disciple. After all, Daozu masters had their own pride. They would not lower themselves to take in the same disciple as other masters of the same level. Yet, Su Fang had two Daozu masters. How shocking was this? The cultivators from Xixian exclaimed in shock and bowed to Xixian Daozu. Xixian Tianqing was surprised and shocked. At the same time, he was filled with jealousy. As Daozu's direct disciple, he had only received Xixian Daozu's inheritance. He cultivated on his own most of the time, and Xixian Daozu only gave him occasional pointers. Xixian Daozu had hidden a strand of thought in Su Fang's body. This meant that Su Fang could receive his pointers at any time. For Su Fang, Xixian Daozu had appeared directly. It was enough to show how much importance he attached to Su Fang. How could Xian Tianqing not be shocked and jealous? Dong Xian Daozu stroked his long beard and chuckled. While this seat did not teach Su Fang any method, abhina, or guide his cultivation, he received this seat's ultimate treasure. He counts as half a disciple and is comparable to an inheritor. This ancestor disdains to fight with you. Xian Daozu snorted. Then he looked at Xian Zheng on the Eastern Spell Altar. You humiliate this ancestor's disciple so wantonly. Do you, a half-step Daozu, want to challenge this ancestor? Or do you think your power is boundless, and you can be above this ancestor when you preside over this Jiuquan heaven selection? An invisible will enveloped Xian Zheng's body, causing him to tremble from head to toe. He couldn't even utter a single word. Dong Xian Daozu then said in a cold voice, When has this ancestor's disciple ever offended you? Why do you want to kill him again and again? You can look down on this ancestor and ignore the Eastern Xian Divine Region just to curry favor with the 5 divine regions of the Central Xian Divine Region. Another majestic pressure descended. Xian Zheng's body trembled, and he immediately knelt on the spell altar. Suddenly, an icy, sinister aura surged out of the void and descended on Xian Zheng's body. Xian Zheng could no longer bear it. He knelt on the spell altar and spat out a mouthful of blood. A black figure appeared. The light in the entire space suddenly dimmed, and the temperature dropped below freezing. Another Daozu expert had appeared. It was the Dark Mother Daozu. The many Dao saints on the spell altar felt the pressure of the 3 Daozu's wills. They could no longer bear it, and all knelt on the spell altar. Xian Zheng's Dharma body looked at the Dark Mother Daozu. He respectfully cupped his fists and said, This one did not offend you, Dark Mother. May I know why you are so angry? Daozu said indifferently, Su Fang is this ancestor's disciple's Dao companion. If you kill him, do you want this ancestor's disciple to be alone for the rest of his life? Xian Zheng's mind rumbled. He complained incessantly in his heart. Why was this? Even Dao saints knew very little about the Daozu experts, let alone the Daozu's strength. Xian Zheng was a half-step Dao ancestor. He was considered to have 1 foot in the Dao ancestor realm. He knew a little about the Dao ancestor experts. Although the Dark Mother Daozu was not the most powerful Daozu expert, she was the most difficult Daozu expert to deal with in the human world. Most of the other Daozu had their own forces. They naturally had their own scruples when doing things. Daozu, on the other hand, only had a few disciples. She did not have any forces. She was eccentric, unsociable, and unscrupulous in her actions. Previously, in order to help Xu Wanjin vent her anger, Daozu personally went to the Hu people and fought with the Hu people Daozu. Her style of doing things was clear, but wouldn't have a headache when dealing with someone like her. It was no wonder that the Hu people and the other Daozu experts did not appear. They were definitely afraid of provoking this unreasonable old monster. As long as she did not wantonly kill people, those Daozu experts would naturally not take the initiative to appear and bring bad luck to themselves. Xian Zheng's Dharmakaya looked at Su Fang and cursed in his heart. She had the support of 3 Daozu experts, but she pretended to have no background. Wasn't she purposely tricking people? Not only Xian Zheng, but all the cultivators were shocked. A Dao Master cultivator actually had 3 Daozu experts behind her. In the entire human world, how many people had such a powerful background? The direct descendants of the Daozu and the Daozu of the 5 great god clans were already extremely noble. However, compared to Su Fang, they were nothing. According to the rewards of the Jiuquan Heaven selection, the top 3 would become the Daozu's disciples and receive the same treatment. It seemed glorious, but the Daozu experts would never treat them as disciples and train them. Su Fang had the support of 3 Daozu experts. Naturally, she would not care about the rewards of the Jiuquan Heaven selection. The Xian Daozu snorted. The Daozu of the human race unanimously decided to hold this Jiuquan Heaven selection to select true geniuses for the human race. But what did you do, Xian Zheng? You actually wanted to kill a true peerless genius. This Daozu can't help but suspect that you are a foreign spy. Xian Zheng had just breathed a sigh of relief when the will pressure on him dissipated. However, The Xixian Daozu's words made his heart sink to the bottom again. The Dongxian Daozu said indifferently, "You have turned a perfectly good gathering of the human race's geniuses into a farce." This Daozu is truly disappointed. Dongxian cultivators return. The Dongxian divine region withdraws from this Jiuquan heaven selection. The Dongxian Daozu's decision caused an uproar among the cultivators. The Dongxian cultivators dared not defy the supreme will. All of them bowed respectfully to the Dongxian Daozu's figure and swiftly left the space under the lead of Tuo Qianji and other Dongxian higher-ups. The central divine region belongs to the 5 great god clans. Little drunkard, bring the Xixian cultivators back to Xixian as well, lest they be bullied. The Xixian Daozu spoke in a majestic voice. "I will obey Master's decree." The saint in wine bowed to the Xixian Daozu. Then he shouted to the cultivators from Xixian, "All of you, return. Leave no one behind." Although Xixian Tianqing was reluctant, he dared not disobey the Xixian Daozu's order. He could only follow the crowd. The saint in wine said to Su Fong, "Little junior brother, are you coming back to Xixian with us?" Su Fong was about to speak when the Xixian Daozu waved his hand and said, "Su Fong still has matters to attend to with this reputed one. Go on." The Xixian Daozu's words envied the Xixian cultivators. With the departure of the Dongxian and Xixian cultivators, the people in the space became much sparser. Chapter 30:13. I can't believe that the Jiuquan's chosen of heaven held by the Jiuquan's higher-ups would end so hastily. Su Fong is right. In the end, the Jiuquan's chosen of heaven has become a game for those in power. They've been suppressing true geniuses everywhere. Where's the fairness and justice? Xianzheng looks like he's just and fair, but in reality, he's been protecting the interests of the 5 divine tribes. How can anyone be convinced? Xianzheng thinks that Su Fong is just an ant without any experts or forces to back him up. That's why he dares to suppress Su Fong so wantonly. I can't believe that Su Fong has such a powerful background. The 3 great Daozu are standing up for him. Xianzheng's actions are truly laughable. As the cultivators of Dongxian and Western Mystic Divine Region left, everyone was discussing among themselves. Some of them were still apprehensive, communicating secretly with their nascent spirits, while others were whispering to each other, not caring about Xianzheng's reputation at all. Xianzheng was a half-step Daozu. His ability was astounding. Although the cultivators' voices were soft, they couldn't escape his ears. Hearing the crowd's discussion, Xianzheng's face was ashen. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. The Dao Saint powerhouses from the Elder Council looked at Xianzheng and sighed with emotion. He never imagined that a dignified half-step Dao ancestor like Xianzheng would fall into such a situation because of a mere Dao Lord like Su Fong. Even though he couldn't be said to have lost all standing and reputation, he'd at least lost all face. Hupa, the Yi clan's Dao Saint, and the other Dao Saints of the 5 divine tribes were all shocked and terrified. How could they dare continue to think about killing Su Fong? Su Fong, I'm very satisfied with your performance this time. Even though Jiuquan's Tianqian parted on bad terms, Master will not go back on his promise to you. Xixian Daozu's voice sounded in Su Fong's mind. Then, with a thought, he condensed a barrier that enveloped Su Fong, Dongxian Daozu, Dark Mother Daozu, and Shu Wanjin. Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. Dongxian Daozu said majestically, "Su Fong, you have obtained this ancestor's most precious treasure. You will be this ancestor's successor in the future. Why don't you quickly acknowledge me as your master? Could it be that you want this ancestor to beg you? Or do you think this ancestor isn't qualified to be your master?" This, Su Fong looked at Xixian Daozu. Xixian Daozu snorted and said, "As long as there are benefits, getting a master for free, why would he not agree to such a good thing? Picking up a cheap master for free?" Dongxian Daozu raised his eyebrows. "Greetings, master." Su Fong was about to kneel and kowtow to Dongxian Daozu when Dongxian Daozu stopped him with a chuckle. Just like this, Su Fong had another master, Daozu. But in Su Fong's mind, Xixian Daozu was his true master. Dongxian Daozu was only his master in name. In his mind, Dongxian Daozu was far below Xixian Daozu. Dongxian Daozu took out a jade scroll. With a thought, he floated it in front of Su Fong. Master has nothing to teach you. This jade scroll contains how to merge and cultivate Slaughter's heart. It also contains Master's yin-yang Dao. You can use it to cultivate your heavenly Dao body. As expected, there are benefits. Su Fong was overjoyed and carefully put away the jade scroll. If there were no benefits, you would not recognize Ben Zhu as your master, right? Dongxin Daozu's starry eyes stared at Su Fong as he said with a chuckle. Su Fong felt ashamed. After a pause, Dongxin Daozu said, "If you want to seek the truth of the great Dao, you can only rely on yourself. What old ghost Xixian and Master have taught you is just the path we have walked. If you want to go further, you can use it as a reference, but do not be constrained by it." Su Fong bowed and said, "Yes, this disciple will remember Master's teachings." Dongxin Daozu laughed and was in a good mood. Then he sighed. The invasion of the human world is imminent, but the upper echelons of the human race are still fighting for power. Once the calamity comes, the human world will be in danger. Xixian Daozu also sighed helplessly. Then Xixian Daozu stroked his white beard at Daozu the Dark Mother. "Dark Woman, many thanks to you this time." Mother Daozu the Dark Mother snorted. Dongxin Daozu said with a smile, "You two can talk about old times. This zoo will not stay here and be an eyesore." Before he finished, the light of the three Daozu experts changed at the same time. "What is it?" Su Fong was shocked. The Daozu experts were supreme existences of the human race. Nothing could shock the three Daozu experts like this. Xixian Daozu waved his sleeve, and the surrounding boundaries disappeared. Boom, boom, boom. Ethereal sounds of thunder reverberated through space, and all energy and laws became chaotic. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was terrified. What the hell happened? All of a sudden, Su Fong felt like he had lost something extremely important. This made his heart tremble. An ominous premonition of a great calamity surged in Su Fong's heart. An inexplicable fear enveloped his entire body. The true text from the mysterious solution of heaven and the mysterious Dao text from the life shrinking technique flashed in the Dao Palace. The Destiny Avatar and the Purple Fate Avatar were also trembling. The great calamity of the human race. Come quickly and discuss it. An old voice filled with supreme majesty rang out from the void. Xixian Daozu, Dongxin Daozu, and Mother Daozu the Dark Mother entered the void at the same time and disappeared without a trace. Billions of cultivators fell into a great panic. They did not know what to do. Suddenly, a genius from an unknown place suddenly exclaimed, "Jiuxuan's heavenly laws. I have lost the protection of the Jiuxuan's heavenly laws." Then a succession of Dao saints exclaimed, "Jiuxuan's heavenly laws are gone. Jiuxuan's heavenly laws are broken. The human world has lost the Jiuxuan's heavenly laws. The sky is collapsing." Boom! Su Fong's mind was in a state of rumbling, and his heart was in turmoil. The Jiuxuan's heavenly laws were created by the top experts of the human race over countless years. They were like the heavenly Dao's heavenly laws. Not only were they used to protect geniuses, but they were also used to protect the entire human world. Without the Jiuxuan's heavenly laws, foreign race experts could enter the human world without fear. It would be difficult for them to be detected. They could slaughter the human race as they pleased and would not be attacked by the heavenly laws. The Jiuxuan's heavenly laws were broken. This meant that the human world had lost a protective barrier. It was no different from the collapse of the world. Unexpectedly, Dongxin Daozu had just been talking about the calamity of the human race. Now, the calamity had come. Everyone was shocked and alarmed. The space became deathly silent. Everyone was in a state of panic, especially the cultivators from the southern profound divine region and the Big Goblin. The Jiuxuan's heavenly laws would not be broken for no reason. It must be related to the foreign races. Once the foreign races launched a large-scale attack on the human world, the southern profound divine region will be the first to bear the brunt. How could the southern profound cultivators and the Big Goblin not panic? A southern profound Dao saint quickly left with Sima Xiao Xiao, Yuan Jin, and the Big Goblin. "Senior sister, let's go." Su Fong sent a message to Shu Wanjin. The two followed the crowd and left the space. After flying out of the Culmination God Watchtower, Su Fong and Shu Wanjin arrived at the Culmination God capital. They rented a cave abode in a merchant house and temporarily stayed there while waiting for news from Shixian Daozu. As the Joshuan's heavenly laws were broken, the entire culmination god capital fell into a great panic. The bustling divine capital fell completely silent. Su Fang and Shu Wanjin could only wait for news in the cave abode. Their hearts were heavy. A calamity must have happened in the human world. No one could predict what would happen next. Su Fang thought of the Pan Song universe. The current scene was very similar to the time when evil suns kept appearing in the Pan Song universe. The calamity engulfed the entire universe. However, the calamity of the human race this time was much more terrifying than the calamity that the evil god brought to the Pan Song universe. The calamity is coming. My strength is far from enough. Su Fang felt a sense of urgency that he had never felt before. Su Fang, let me enter your heavenly Tao avatar. I want to see. Father. Shu Wanjin suddenly passed through the barrier and entered Su Fang's cave abode. She said coldly to Su Fang. Su Fang was stunned. He immediately understood Shu Wanjin's intention. Due to the past, Shu Wanjin had never forgiven her father, Shu Yunkong. Now that the human race was facing a calamity, she was about to go to the mystic god domain. She didn't know if they would meet again in the future. Now that she was going to see Shu Yunkong, it was obvious that she had completely let go of the past and bid farewell to Shu Wanjin. Su Fang quickly sucked Shu Wanjin into the heavenly Tao avatar. Inside the heavenly Tao avatar was a vast and boundless universe. With the increase of Su Fang's cultivation, Su Fang's universe had become a mature, low-level universe. It had even surpassed the Pan Song universe of the past. Countless lives, including cultivators and Big Goblin, lived and multiplied in Su Fang's universe. The huge Jianmu tree connected the heaven and earth of Su Fang's universe. Su Fang's family and friends all lived at the top of the Jianmu tree. On a huge leaf at the top of the Jianmu tree, there was a world of its own inside. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed. Spirit energy was abundant. Shu Yinkong was sitting cross-legged under a divine Bodhi tree. He was immersed in cultivation. Shu Wanjin's figure slowly condensed. She said in a trembling voice, Father. Shu Yinkong opened his eyes and looked at Shu Wanjin in disbelief. Then, he trembled in excitement. When Shu Wanjin was bidding farewell to her father, Su Fang also came to Fuyao's cavern. Xuanxin had been cultivating in Fuyao's cavern all these years. Su Fang came to bid farewell to Xuanxin. Xuanxin looked at Su Fang. He saw something in Su Fang's eyes. An imperceptible sadness appeared in his calm eyes. Jiuxuan's heavenly selection has ended? Su Fang told Xuanxin about Jiuxuan's heavenly selection. Daozu of Shixian had promised that if Su Fang could enter the top 3 of Jiuxuan's heavenly selection, he would help Xuanxin become a disciple of an expert. Xuanxin was extremely intelligent. She already knew that the day of their separation was coming. She didn't know when they would meet again, especially now that the human world of Jiuxuan had suddenly changed. Everyone's life and death were uncertain. Su Fang felt very reluctant. However, Su Fang knew that Xuanxin was an extremely proud person. She had her own dreams. Su Fang would not selfishly keep her by his side. Everything was in silence. Chapter 30:14. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. Shu Wanjin suddenly sent a telepathic message. Su Fang, come quickly. Master is summoning me. I am about to return to Yuxian. Su Fang released Shu Wanjin from the Heavenly Path avatar. Shu Wanjin had just bid farewell to Su Fang and looked depressed. She stared at Su Fang and said faintly, Su Fang, take care of yourself. Su Fang said dejectedly, Senior sister, take care. Shu Wanjin swept out a cold black Xian Guang from her palm, and Du Zhixiang's figure appeared. Shu Wanjin said coldly to Du Zhixiang, serve Su Fang well, but do not let him indulge in female charms and forget to cultivate. Do you hear me? Du Zhixiang's face was red as she replied, yes. Su Fang was very embarrassed. He did not expect Shu Wanjin to arrange things like this. Senior sister, please take Luo with you when you go to Yuxian. Su Fang released Luo from the Heavenly Path avatar. Luo was an Azura. He was born from blood and slaughter. He liked to take risks and kill. Staying with Su Fang was not only a kind of torture for him, His future growth was also very limited. The Yuxian Divine Domain was a world of blood and slaughter. Luo was going to the Yuxian Divine Domain to train and take risks. This was something Luo had told Su Fong long ago. Luo, senior sister, take care. Xu Wanjin left the abode with Luo. Su Fong's heart became empty. Daozu of Shixian was still discussing matters with other Daozu experts. Su Fong could only continue to wait in the abode. Another 3 days passed. Su Fong was sitting cross-legged in the abode when a powerful will suddenly descended. It suppressed Su Fong's will to the point of collapse. Ding! A purple light suddenly flashed out and slowly condensed into a purple-robed middle-aged man. This person's aura was incorporeal, making it difficult for Su Fong to sense his depth. His entire being was filled with the fortune of the heavenly Tao, making Su Fong feel as if he was facing an incarnation of the fortune of the heavenly Tao. With just a thought, this person could crush him into powder without leaving a trace. Daozu expert. This person is Hong Tian Daozu. Su Fong guessed the other party's identity, and his Dao heart couldn't help but tremble. Long Tianxi was Hong Tian Daozu's disciple. Long Tianxi had been killed by Mystery's Blackwater soul fishing diagram, and the Violet Fate celestial dragon had been shackled by Su Fong. Hong Tian Daozu hadn't appeared out of boredom. Hand over Long Tianxi's soul. Hong Tian Daozu said indifferently. Hand over Long Tianxi's soul? Long Tianxi's soul had been fished up by the old man in the Blackwater soul fishing diagram. How could he hand it over? Hong Tian Daozu looked at Su Fong and suddenly exploded with an astonishing suction force. It passed through Su Fong's Dao Palace and pulled Mystery out of it. Hong Tian Daozu waved his hand again, and the Blackwater soul fishing diagram flew out of Mystery's body. It floated in front of Hong Tian Daozu and slowly unfurled. It's that old bastard's treasure. Hong Tian Daozu's purple eyebrows arched, and he reached into the diagram. From the fish basket next to the old man, he pulled out an illusory figure. It was Long Tianxi's soul. Su Fong was shocked. This level of strength was beyond his imagination. Hong Tian Daozu pulled out another body and sent the soul into it. He used a purple Xin Guang to envelop the body. A moment later, the corpse-like body came back to life. It was Long Tianxi. How dare you kill my disciple? You'll pay with your life. Hong Tian Daozu's eyes flashed, and a terrifying willpower shot toward Mystery like a bolt of purple lightning. Mystery was as insignificant as an ant in the face of the Daozu's attack. The only thing he could do was to close his eyes and wait for death. Suddenly, a surprised voice sounded from the void. Huh, this ancestor's Blackwater soul fishing diagram is here. At the same time, a large black hand reached out from the void and grabbed Mystery and the Blackwater soul fishing diagram. Hong Tian Daozu's willpower attack fell on the large hand and was shattered. Then the large black hand grabbed Mystery and pulled him into the void. Old Hong Tian, this person is related to me. Can you give me some face? A voice sounded, as if it came from a distant place. Hong Tian Daozu snorted coldly, but said nothing. Master, this is the person who killed me. He even took the Violet Fate Dragon. Master, please help me. Long Tianxi pointed at Su Fong and shouted through gritted teeth. Hong Tian Daozu looked at Su Fong and said in a majestic voice, for the sake of Dong Xian and Xishuan Daozu, I won't kill you. However, the Violet Fate Dragon is Long Tianxi's. Hand it over. Hand over the Violet Fate Dragon? After Su Fong had taken the Violet Fate Dragon, he had sealed it in the Dao Palace and hadn't had time to fuse with it. If he could fuse with the Violet Fate Dragon, Su Fong's Violet Fate avatar would reach an unimaginable height. He hadn't expected Hong Tian Daozu to suddenly appear and take back the Violet Fate Dragon. Su Fong was very unwilling to give up a piece of meat that was already in his mouth, but he had to hand it over. Hong Tian, you dare steal this ancestor's disciple's treasure? Shixian Daozu's figure flashed out, and the pressure that had enveloped Su Fong instantly vanished. The Shixian Daozu that had appeared this time wasn't a doppelganger created by his thoughts, but a physical body. Master! Su Fong was surprised and delighted. Shixian Daozu had appeared at the perfect time. Hong Tian Daozu's brows furrowed. Shixian, The violet fate dragon is this ancestor's disciple's treasure. How did it become your disciple's treasure? Shixin Daozu snorted. It used to be your disciple's treasure, but it was taken by my disciple. Naturally, it belongs to my disciple. Besides, your disciple is just a piece of trash who's only got lucky. No matter how good the treasure is, it's a waste in his hands. Long Tianxi's face was filled with humiliation and anger. Being called a piece of trash by a Daozu cultivator was a blow to him. Hong Tian Daozu said angrily, Shixin, are you being unreasonable? Shixin Daozu said, let the juniors resolve their own matters. If you want to interfere, this ancestor will keep you company. I'll tell you something else as well. Old man Dongxian is this ancestor's disciple's master. Hong Tian Daozu's brow furrowed deeply. He snorted coldly and then took Long Tianxi away. Su Fang exhaled deeply in relief. He was filled with gratitude towards Shixin Daozu. How fortunate was it to have such a domineering master? Thinking of Shroud, who had been taken away by the nameless cultivator, Su Fang grew worried again and asked Shixin Daozu. That was the Dharma forefather of Nether, also a Daozu cultivator. The Blackwater forefather you speak of is one of his disciples and has long passed away. All the Daozu cultivators have gathered in Middle Xian for a meeting, and the Dharma forefather of Nether was one of them. The Black Water Soul fishing portrait was one of his treasures. It was obvious that the Black Water Soul fishing portrait's aura had attracted his attention. It's a good thing that your friend has been taken away by the Dharma forefather of Nether. This is his fortune. You don't have to worry about him. Shixin Daozu's words reassured Su Fang. Then, Su Fang asked again, Master, what happened? Why did Joshuan's heavenly law suddenly shatter? Shixin Daozu said in a low voice, the foreign tribes attack the human world with all their might. A cultivator stronger than the Daozu has taken action and broken Joshuan's heavenly law. Su Fang had expected this result, but he was still shocked when he heard Shixin Daozu say it himself. Shixin Daozu said, right now, the foreign tribes are attacking South Xian. It probably won't be long before South Xian falls. However, it will not be so easy for the foreign tribes to completely take over our human world. The foreign tribes have a cultivator stronger than the Daozu. How can a human race stop the invasion of the foreign tribes? This concerned the survival of the entire human race. Su Fang could not help but be nervous. With your current strength, it's unavoidable for you to worry about such things. What you need to do now is quickly increase your strength. Do not be distracted by other matters. There will be a cultivator to worry about the invasion of the foreign tribes. Yes, Master. Let's go. Master will take you to a place to help your Dao companion become a disciple of that cultivator. Su Fang finally understood. Shixin Daozu had sent out a Dharma body to help Xuanxin become a disciple. Su Fang was touched, but at the same time he felt guilty. A white Xianguang came out of Shixin Daozu's body and formed a wheel of light that covered him and Su Fang. The wheel of light suddenly spun and took the two of them past all restraints and into nothingness. Su Fang passed through the wheel of light. The Xianguang came at him. The changing of time and space caused him to feel dizzy. He hurriedly closed his eyes and sat cross-legged in the wheel of light. After a moment, Shixin Daozu's voice sounded. We've arrived. Su Fang opened his eyes and looked over. What he saw was a boundless world. The surroundings were deathly silent. Nothing existed. There was no light, no sound, not even the restraints of time and space. There was nothing. However, it was in this empty space that everything seemed to be contained. This is the outer realm chaos. Su Fang asked in shock. He found that he could not make a sound. He could only send his thoughts with his primordial spirit. Even sending his thoughts would use up a lot of primordial spirit power. Shixin Daozu nodded. Yes, this is the outer realm chaos. The master I found for your Dao companion is a foreign race expert. Foreign race expert? The outer realm chaos is boundless. There are countless life forms. We humans call them the other races. However, not all of them are as evil as the heaven-piercing Blood King Rattan. There are only a small number of foreign races that hate humans. Shixin Daozu explained. Then he said, I once roamed the outer realm chaos and met many foreign race experts. The place I will take you to is the world of a friend of mine. That place is suitable for your Tao companion, Xuanxin, to cultivate. Su Fang felt a wave of gratitude. This was a dangerous time for the invasion of the human world by the other races. In order to help Xuanxin become a disciple, Shixin Daozu had entered the outer realm chaos with a doppelganger as Daozu. Su Fang had nothing to say that his master had done this. Chapter 30:15. Su Fang could already surpass the limit of Dao Lord and advance to Dao Profound Realm a long time ago. But for the sake of Jiuquan Heaven's choice, he had always suppressed his cultivation. Now that Jiuquan Heaven's choice had already ended, he no longer had any misgivings. Furthermore, the human world was invaded by foreign races on a large scale. Even Jiuquan Heaven's law was broken. Facing the catastrophe, how insignificant was Su Fang? He precisely needed to rapidly increase his strength. But Shixin Daozu brought Su Fang to the extraterrestrial chaos to transcend the tribulation, leaving him puzzled. Shixin Daozu explained, "In the human world and the chaos void of the region, you can naturally transcend the tribulation too. But you will more or less receive some interference. Transcending the tribulation is also a chance to touch upon the true meaning of great Tao. In the extraterrestrial chaos, everything has nothing and everything has. The interference received is extremely little. Hence, Master brought you to the extraterrestrial chaos to transcend the tribulation. The chaos had no beginning and no end, endless and boundless. There was nothing, yet everything had an eternal existence. All life, energy, and matter were born from the chaos. Hence, the chaos was heavenly Tao, the entire world. The purpose of a cultivator's cultivation was to seek the truth of the great Tao from nothing in the chaos. Tao Profound Realm was an important realm for cultivators to step into the palace of cultivation. Just like painting, Tao Truth, Tao Lord, and Tao Lord realms were copying others. And Tao Profound Realm was to break away from the shackles of predecessors and draw a great Tao painting scroll that belonged to oneself. Hence, advancing to Tao Profound was extremely important to cultivators. Shixin Daozu specially brought Su Fang to the extraterrestrial chaos precisely for this reason. Shixin Daozu continued, "Don't be in a hurry to transcend the tribulation either. Cultivate your avatar's life and avatar to the peak state first. It won't be too late to transcend the tribulation with all your strength then." Finished talking, Shixin Daozu flicked out a ray of chaos-colored Xianguang with a finger, instantly enveloping Su Fang, turning into 1,000 feet large light wheel. The inside of the light wheel was an independent space-time. Not only was spiritual energy abundant, but it was also filled with the essence of great Tao. The flow of time inside the space was also different from the mystic world. 100 years passed inside was only a year in the mystic world where humans resided, as expected of the top powerhouse of the human race. In the blink of an eye, he created such an astonishing world in the chaos void. It was comparable to the cultivation holy land of the top forces of Jiuquan. Su Fang sat down cross-legged in the space-time. Tao Father Shixin's body quietly slipped into the primordial chaos, transforming into nothingness. Recover first, of course, Daozu Daozu's. Fang's great Tao, cast Yang to use. Yang of the Yang of Yang. Used. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine also began to wantonly devour the blood chi of the chrysalis race cultivators. Coupled with the Yang reversal art, it rapidly recovered its vitality and energy. Time. The chaotic void outside was silent and unchanging. But 3,000 years had passed inside the independent space-time. Su Fang's astonishing recovery ability not only recovered his previous exhaustion and injuries to peak condition, but his life aura also became more vigorous. The energy and mana in his Tao Palace and Dharma body also reached peak condition. If he wanted to, he could ascend to the realm of Tao mystery at any time. But now is not the time to do so. He still had to cultivate his various Dharma bodies to a higher level. The Violet Fate Heavenly Dragon he took from Long Tianci could be used to cultivate the Violet Fate Dharma body. The Massacre Dharma body also needed to fuse with Slaughter's heart. Dongxin Daozu gave Su Fang a jade scroll. It contained the method to fuse with Slaughter's heart, as well as the top yin and yang Tao of the Eastern Xian divine realm. It could be used to cultivate the heavenly Tao Dharma body. Also, the Destiny Dharma body was taken from Emperor Pan's song. It still needed to be fused and cultivated to become his own Destiny Dharma body. The method of cultivating the heavenly mandate celestial body was actually very simple. Celestial Lord Pan Song's heavenly mandate celestial body was cultivated using the heavenly secret life shrinking technique and the heavenly mystery solution as the source of Tao. Su Fang only needed to continue cultivating these two supreme, supernatural powers. The mystic Yang Dharma body and the mystic Yellow Dharma body devour the essence of extreme Yang, as well as pills and spiritual items that contain the power of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and lightning. Su Fang's body also used Slaughter's heart to cultivate the Jiuquan Limitless Sutra and raise its level. Just like that, Su Fang was immersed in cultivation, completely forgetting the passage of time. Unknowingly, 100,000 years had passed in this state. Su Fang suddenly opened his eyes. At this time, his power began to surge, engulfing his entire body and his Tao Palace. The life aura in his body began to surge and roar, as if it wanted to tear his body apart. The Tao Palace was also shaking and rolling, as if the entire Tao Palace was about to explode. Chi! Su Fang leaped out of the independent space-time. A gust of tribulation aura immediately shot out from his body, and the surroundings were instantly set ablaze with tribulation fire. At the same time, a gust of void power erupted from his body, projecting into the surrounding chaos. Some stormy cloud-like waves surged out from the empty chaos, seeping with the terrifying aura of heavenly tribulation. In an instant, they enveloped the chaotic void above Su Fang for 100,000 miles. A tribulation cloud that covers an area of 100,000 miles. This disciple of mine is truly heaven-defying. Shishin Daozu appeared from the void at some point. Looking at the shocking tribulation cloud, his eyes shone brightly. When a cultivator underwent a tribulation, they resonated with the chaos to attract the power of the heavenly Tao. For a cultivator, it was a kind of test, a great tribulation, and also a kind of recognition. The size of the tribulation cloud represented a cultivator's cultivation talent and what kind of achievements they would have in the future. The greater the power of the heavenly tribulation, the harder it was for a cultivator to transcend it. But everything had two sides. Once successfully transcending the tribulation, one's strength would also far surpass ordinary cultivators. When ordinary Tao lords advanced to Tao profound realm, the tribulation cloud area that they could attract was mostly around 10,000 miles. Some peerless geniuses would be a little more astonishing. However, reaching an astonishing area of 100,000 miles, even Shishin Daozu had never seen it before. When he advanced to Tao profound realm back then, the tribulation cloud he attracted was only close to 90,000 miles in area. Perhaps this disciple of mine has hopes of taking that step in the future. Unfortunately, the calamity has descended now. The time given to him is already not much. Shishin Daozu muttered to himself, letting out a sigh. After transcending this tribulation, I'll be a Tao profound powerhouse. Su Fang stared at the thick tribulation cloud above. His eyes flickered with a hale and hearty light. He was somewhat nervous in his heart, but also filled with anticipation at the same time. Shishin Daozu's voice sounded in Su Fang's mind. Be careful. What you cultivate is the Jiuquan Limitless Sutra. The Tao profound heavenly tribulation you attract will target your avatar, transforming into all kinds of different heavenly tribulation attacks. It's best for you to use your various avatars to resist the heavenly tribulation. This way, the benefits to you are the greatest. The power of the heavenly tribulation is 10 times more powerful than the Tao profound heavenly tribulation of ordinary cultivators. Do not be careless. Huff! Shishin Daozu's voice was still echoing in Su Fang's mind when the great tribulation in the tribulation cloud also condensed. It was as if a monster suddenly opened its mouth in the thick tribulation cloud. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A streak of crimson-red light of tribulation charged out from within. The light of tribulation arrived in an instant, bringing with it the supreme yang power that could destroy everything, charging above Su Fang. Rumble. The light of tribulation exploded, turning into lightning and thunder fire that filled the sky. It swept towards Su Fong from all directions, wanting to blast Su Fong into smithereens. This heavenly tribulation was targeted at the Xian Yang avatar. Su Fong released the Xian Yang avatar according to Shi Xian Daozu's instructions and flew up. The Xian Yang avatar used the Yang refinement mystic art, condensing one thought after another. In an instant, that monstrous lightning, snake, and thunderfire were controlled and then shattered. There was still a small portion that was forcefully refined into Xian Yang power and absorbed into the avatar. In less than 10 breaths, that seemingly incomparably shocking first heavenly tribulation very quickly collapsed, shattered, and finally disappeared without a trace. Of course, it was not that the power of the heavenly tribulation was not strong enough, but because Su Fong's strength was formidable. His strength had long surpassed the Tao profound realm. No matter how powerful the heavenly tribulation was, it was at most the height of the peak of a lower Tao profound realm. The first heavenly tribulation had just disappeared, and the second heavenly tribulation rolled over in succession. It was clearly different from the first heavenly tribulation. Although it was also a ray of light of tribulation, when it reached above Su Fong, it turned into the 6 great divine powers of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and lightning. It was like a torrential torrent that surged over. Su Fong had long withdrawn the Xian Yang avatar. The Xian Huang avatar charged out and actually directly used the avatar to withstand the baptism of the 6 great divine powers. The pagoda phantom kept trembling and shattering under the 6 great divine powers, but also wore down quite a bit of the heavenly tribulation's power at the same time. There was still an extremely small portion that was absorbed into the avatar. After half an incense stick's time, the second heavenly tribulation finally collapsed. The Xian Huang avatar also looked to be in tatters and was absorbed into Su Fong's Tao Palace. Screech! Another ray of light of tribulation shot out from the thick tribulation clouds. A monstrous murderous aura instantly enveloped all directions. That blood-red light of tribulation turned into a ray of sword light, charging over in an instant. The third heavenly tribulation, killing tribulation. Su Fong's blood-evil avatar used the will visualization technique, and a blood-red blade radiance shattered the sword light of the heavenly tribulation. It looked extremely easy. The reason for this was that the blood-evil avatar had further integrated with Slaughter's heart, causing the blood-evil avatar to become even more powerful. At this moment, it had already reached the level of the 7-star Bloody Kill Divine Lord, so it was the easiest to shatter the third heavenly tribulation. The fourth heavenly tribulation was the Yin Yang tribulation that targeted the Heavenly Way avatar. This time, it was 10 times more violent than the previous 3 heavenly tribulations. Su Fong had no choice but to use the formless heavenly wheel and condense the Yin Yang heavenly wheel to shatter the heavenly tribulation. Whoosh! Another ray of light of tribulation shot out from the tribulation clouds. This was a ray of gray light of tribulation, and there was a terrifying aura of tribulation within it. In an instant, Su Fong felt as if a calamity that would destroy the heavens and the earth was about to descend. Any life, including him, would not be able to escape this calamity and would wither and die in that boundless tribulation. Purple Fate Avatar. A purple figure flashed out from Su Fong's Tao Palace. A mysterious purple light shot up into the sky, and an astonishing heavenly wave fate swept out majestically and actually diluted the terrifying aura of tribulation. It was Su Fong's Purple Fate Avatar. Chapter 30:16. Roar. Su Fong's Purple Fate Avatar suddenly opened its mouth and let out a dragon roar. A purple halo of light vibrated out. The majestic fate of the heavenly Tao swept out and collided with the heavenly tribulation. The tribulation light began to shatter layer by layer. The terrifying tribulation also collapsed and disappeared into nothingness. Just like that, the 5th-level heavenly tribulation was resolved by Su Fong. The 6th-level heavenly tribulation targeted the primordial spirit avatar. The tribulation light suddenly descended, catching Su Fong off guard and causing him to fall into the illusion tribulation. In the illusion tribulation, Su Fong experienced countless joys and sorrows, as well as countless reincarnations. He even encountered the destruction of the human race and the death of his loved ones. Everything was so real that it almost caused his primordial spirit consciousness to be trapped and immersed in the illusion tribulation forever. The illusion tribulation was indeed terrifying. Although it didn't seem very dangerous, it was actually more shocking than any other great tribulation. Fortunately, Su Fang had a strong Tao heart and kept his primordial spirit consciousness from being destroyed. In the end, Su Fang's primordial spirit broke free from the illusion tribulation and successfully passed the 6th-level heavenly tribulation. The most shocking was the 7th-level heavenly tribulation. An illusory tribulation light flashed out from the tribulation clouds. It didn't seem as shocking as the other great tribulations, but made Su Fang nervous and solemn like never before. Destiny tribulation. I didn't expect the 7th-level heavenly tribulation to target my destiny. Destiny tribulation was not only illusory, but it was also an attack on Su Fang's destiny. If he couldn't pass this tribulation, he would be directly obliterated. Like the thunder of destiny, not only would it obliterate Su Fang's physical body and soul, but it would also obliterate all traces of his existence. Even if he wasn't obliterated, if he was injured in the destiny tribulation, his future would be affected unpredictably. Destiny avatar. An illusory figure that was difficult to see with the naked eye and primordial spirit flashed out from Su Fang's Tao Palace. It faced the heavenly tribulation descending from the sky and swept out a mysterious aura with a wave of its hand. The aura of the Tao runes from the life shrinking technique surged and condensed into an illusory blade in an instant. With the sharp power of destiny, it slashed at the heavenly tribulation. Life blade. Chi. The two forces of fate collided, and the heavenly tribulation shattered layer by layer under the power of the life executioner blade that could sever all fate. However, under the terrifying power of the heavenly tribulation, the life beheading blade quickly became blurry and disappeared. The remaining power of the heavenly tribulation surged. Lightning of destiny. Lightning shot out from the eyes of the destiny avatar, colliding with the remaining power of the heaven's tribulation. Boom! Boom! The collision between the thunder of destiny and the heavenly tribulation made Su Fang feel as though it was a collision of fates. His own fate was fighting against the heavenly Tao, producing the illusion of fate fluctuating and shattering. In the end, the power of the heavenly tribulation was swept away by the power of the lightning of destiny. Just like that, the 7th stage of the heavenly tribulation was passed without any mishaps. However, Su Fang also paid a huge price for this. The main reason was that during the 7th heavenly tribulation, Su Fang had used up a lot of his lifespan by activating the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. He had used up about 30% of his lifespan, which made him look like he was about 50 years old. His aura was weak and listless. The loss of lifespan was also a huge test for Su Fang's Tao heart and willpower. Whether it was a mortal or a cultivator, even a peerless existence like the Daozu, to them, the loss of life was the most terrifying thing. Moreover, Su Fang had watched his lifespan rapidly slip away. If it were not for his strong Tao heart, it was very likely that his willpower would have collapsed. Even if he had passed the heavenly tribulation, he would not be able to recover from the setback and his willpower would be depressed. However, Su Fang had also received a huge reward for passing the 7th heavenly tribulation. According to Master, the great tribulation of the Tao profound realm targets the Dharmakaya. I have cultivated 7 Dharmakayas and have now passed the 7th heavenly tribulation. It should be over by now. Su Fang looked up at the tribulation clouds in the sky. The tribulation clouds were still rolling nonstop, as if something was brewing. Su Fang's Jiuquan Tao Palace could cultivate 9 Dharmakayas. Now, there were actually only 6 Dharmakayas that truly belonged to him. The blood evil Dharmakaya was not limited to 9 Dharmakayas. The heavenly tribulation had obviously sensed that Su Fang's Jiuquan Tao Palace was brewing a great tribulation targeting the other 2 Dharmakayas. After the time it took to burn a stick of incense, the heavenly tribulation seemed to have also realized that Su Fang still had 2 Dharmakayas vacant. Only then did it change. The rolling black tribulation clouds turned into colorful auspicious clouds, blooming with dazzling colorful xianguan. An auspicious and peaceful aura descended along with a multicolored light, falling on Su Fang's body and enveloping him. The auspicious and peaceful aura seeped into Su Fang's body. Su Fang's physical body, Tao Palace, and Dharmakayas began to welcome the shattering and impact. His physical body constantly oozed blood, impurities from the placenta emerged from the depths of his body, and waves of pungent and unpleasant stench assailed his nostrils. The Tao Palace was also trembling, and became even more profound and vast amidst the tremors. Traces of primordial chi rapidly formed in the depths of the chaotic vortex. The Dharmakayas were also constantly shattering and reconstructing, and their mana became even more profound, vast, and high-level. After an unknown amount of time, that auspicious and peaceful aura disappeared, and the impact in his body also gradually subsided. His physical body rapidly returned to normal, and his age also returned to 17 years old. Every cell and every strand of hair flickered with spiritual light. He felt that his body had become light as a feather. It wasn't that his body had become lighter, but that the shackles of the outer realm's chaos on him had weakened. The Jiuquan Tao Palace had clearly increased in size, and the 9 Dharmakaya spaces had also clearly become deeper. The Dharmakayas within were constantly transforming. The primordial chi in the Tao Palace, which was only the size of an egg in the past, had now become the size of a fist. Even the 7 colors Vajra's Tao heart had undergone tremendous changes, becoming simple and unadorned, but even more sturdy. Within the physical body, within the Tao Palace, and inside and outside the Dharmakayas, there was a chaotic heavenly scar everywhere. This meant that Su Fang had finally advanced to become a Tao profound realm cultivator. Tao truth, Tao lord, Tao profound realm cultivators, from just peeking into the gateway of the great Tao to grasping some great Tao profundities, they felt that everything was real. In reaching Tao profound realm, what they comprehended from their predecessors' experiences in the past started to become specious, a stretch of fog. Then, it was to abandon their predecessors' experiences, break free from their senior shackles, and search for the true meaning of the great Tao that belonged to them in this mysterious heavenly Tao. An obvious symbol of Tao profound realm cultivators was the heavenly scar. Different from low-level universes' Tao marks and heavenly scars, Tao profound realm cultivators' heavenly scar was the symbol of the cultivator's own great Tao. The change in cultivation made Su Fang's strength also undergo a transformation along with it. Su Fang reckoned that with his current state, even if he executed those powerful abhijnas, he could also easily crush peak upper Tao profound realm cultivators. If he executed my lord's 10-direction seal, formless heavenly wheel, this kind of peerless great abhijnas, killing ordinary cultivators who surpassed Tao profound realm, was also not something difficult. If he faced Hu Ditian again at this time, even if he possessed the powerful Xian Bao, Su Fang was confident that he could also crush him, absolutely not exceeding 10 breaths of time. This was the difference between Tao profound cultivators and Tao lords. Having a great increase in strength once, Su Fang was naturally very happy in his heart. You cultivate for a period of time and stabilize your realm. Shixin Daozu's voice transmitted over. Su Fang once again entered the independent space-time that Shixin Daozu created previously, and started to urge the heaven-piercing Blood King Ratan. At the same time, he also cultivated cultivation methods and abhijnas, striving to reach the normal state of lower Tao profound realm as soon as possible. Various abhijnas and dharmakayas could also be able to adapt to his cultivation. Time flew. Unknowingly, Su Fang had spent close to 100,000 years in the independent space-time. Puff, a commotion came from inside the Tao Palace. It turned out that Heartbreaker Granny, who was treated as a blood pig by Su Fang, being wantonly devoured by Su Fang for so many years, she actually completely exhausted her life in cultivation, turning into a pile of shattered white bones. This powerful elder of the Supreme Three Profound Sects could also be considered to have completely completed his mission. Looks like I have to capture some powerful experts to be blood pigs again. Su Fang smiled nonchalantly, and then sensed something. He discovered that he had already stabilized in the normal state of lower Tao profound realm. Regardless of life or cultivation, his entire person was at the peak state. Hence, Su Fang ended his cultivation, flying out from the independent space-time. Xian Daozu also appeared from the nothingness and chaos. Divine light swept over Su Fang's body, and he nodded his head in satisfaction. Reached the normal state of lower Dao profound realm so quickly. Very good. Even Master is somewhat surprised. Then, Xian Daozu waved his hand and swept out a Xianguang, slowly flying in front of Su Fang. Master said before in the past, each time you break through a major step, Master will give you a corresponding reward. This is the reward that Master gave you when you advanced to Dao Profound Realm. Accept it. Su Fang grabbed a jade slip from the Xianguang. It's actually different from before. Su Fang could not help being stunned. He thought that like before, Xian Daozu would reward him with some ancient pills. Xian Daozu said, "Inside this jade slip, there is a map that Master condensed with divine abilities. It's not an ordinary map, but a map that leads to God Ruins." God Ruins map? Xian Daozu explained patiently. In the depths of the outer realm chaos, there are many planes and spacetimes. Some are formed naturally, some are opened up by foreign race powerhouses using supreme divine abilities. There are also some planes and spacetimes that were shattered due to the clash of powerhouses or other reasons, leaving behind spacetime fragments. Inside, high-level cultivation planes are preserved. This is the God Ruins. This map that Master gave you was discovered by Master back then in the depths of the chaos in order to find a peerless powerhouse who betrayed the human race. It's just a pity that Master is unable to enter inside and can only leave behind a secret mystic door at the periphery of the God Ruins. Hearing up to here, Su Fang asked puzzledly, "With Master's strength, you're actually unable to enter too?" Xian Daozu said, "Master surmises that God Ruins had a powerful restriction set up by that human traitor. If Master were to forcefully enter, the entire God Ruins would automatically be destroyed. The restrictions in the God Ruins were specially created to target human cultivators. Not just Master. Any human cultivator is unable to enter inside." Su Fang was shocked. Then why did Master give the map of the God Ruins to this disciple? Pausing, Xian Daozu looked at Su Fang. "That is because that human traitor is closely related to you." "Related to me?" Chapter 30:17. Since the human race can't tolerate this Master, so what if this Master betrays the human race? Su Fang suddenly thought of the scene when he obtained my Master's 10-direction seal in Su Ruo Valley. That domineering, wild, and unruly voice seemed to rumble in his mind like spring thunder. Su Fang suddenly came to his senses and exclaimed, "Master, are you saying that the expert who set up the powerful restriction in the ruins of God is the peerless expert who left behind a thought that contained my Master's 10-direction seal in Su Ruo Valley? The problematic Jioshuan, limitless scripture also came from this person?" "That's right. That person's name is 10 Directions Divine Lord. Later on, he betrayed the human world and was chased by several Daozu experts. He fled into the depths of the chaos outside the realm. That Ruins of God was his former hiding place. Why would such a peerless expert betray the human race? Why would he spread the problematic Jioshuan, limitless scripture to the human world, giving birth to evil and threatening the safety of the human race? The thought that you fused within Su Ruo Valley contained a peerless divine ability. At the same time, you also obtained some of his memories. With your current strength, you should be able to decipher those memories. When the time comes, you will know the truth. As for the matter of descending into the world, I don't know much. Perhaps all the secrets are in the ruins of God. Master gave me the map of the ruins of God to let me enter. Isn't the restriction in the ruins of God preventing any human cultivator from entering? The restriction in the ruins of God is indeed preventing all human cultivators from entering, but you are different. You cultivate the Jioshuan limitless scripture. Although it is a heaven-bestowed scripture, it originated from the 10 Directions Divine Lord. Therefore, you could be considered his successor and should be able to enter the ruins of God. After Xuanxin becomes my disciple, I will immediately head to the ruins of God. Who knew? Xian Daozu decisively denied it. Master gave you the map not to have you go to the ruins of God right now, but to leave a backup plan. If the human world is invaded by the foreign races and the human race is in danger, you can take your family and friends to the ruins of God. At the same time, you can explore the secrets of the ruins of God and find the answers. Su Fang's heart sank. The human world will be destroyed by the non-human kind? Let's not talk about this matter. Keep the jade slip well. If it's difficult to survive in the human world, you can use the coordinates in the jade slip to guide you to a profound door that I left behind in the outer realm chaos. After that, you can head to the ruins of God through the profound door. Su Fang finally understood that the reward Shi Xian Daozu gave him was to give him a path of retreat. Then Shi Xian Daozu stared at Su Fang and said earnestly, "Su Fang, you have already become a mystic Dao cultivator. With your true strength, you can be considered a strong cultivator in the entire Jiuquan divine realm. Master will not stay by your side to protect you in the future. Now that the Jiuquan heavenly law is broken, you cannot obtain protection from the Jiuquan heavenly law. You have to rely on yourself to walk your path in the future." "Yes, Master." Su Fang knelt down and kowtowed respectfully. Shi Xian Daozu looked at Su Fang and sighed in his heart. "Master left you this jade slip for another purpose. Perhaps the last hope of the human race is in the ruins of God. Let's go to the Ice Soul Holy Tribe." Shi Xian Daozu's thoughts moved. A light wheel enveloped him and Su Fang, and they instantly disappeared from a spot. When Su Fang reappeared, he was already in a world of ice and snow. There was no earth, only snow and ice. The boundless snow seemed to never end. Countless ice blocks floated in the snow. Su Fang used his sensing ability and was surprised to find that there were actually some life forms living on some huge ice blocks. They were somewhat similar to the life forms in the human world. However, these life forms were all like ice sculptures. Their bodies were transparent, and their life aura was icy cold. The heavenly law of the entire world of ice and snow was completely different from the mystic world of the human race's divine realm. It made Su Fang feel somewhat out of place, and he was constantly subjected to a kind of nihility repulsive force. This is the world where the Ice Soul Holy Tribe lives. It is also a divine realm called the Ice Soul Holy Territory. It is slightly smaller than the Western Profound Divine Realm. However, there are many strong cultivators in the Ice Soul Holy Tribe. There are as many as 3 strong cultivators who are at the same level as Master. Master also sensed that there is a supreme existence that surpasses Master in the Ice Soul Holy Territory. Shi Xian Daozu transmitted his Yuan spirit to Su Fang. There was a trace of reverence in the voice of his Yuan spirit. Such a powerful Ice Soul Holy Tribe. Su Fang was shocked. The Ice Soul Holy Tribe is cold and indifferent by nature. Master accidentally entered the Ice Soul Holy Territory and fought with a Holy Tribe expert. In the end, I gained her recognition with my strength and became friends. It is not just the Ice Soul Holy Tribe. Almost all foreign races are like this. The only thing they respect is strength. Your Dao companion Xuanxin has the Ice Phoenix body. The Ice Soul Holy Territory is suitable for her cultivation. Master was prepared to let her be defeated by that friend. As soon as Shi Xian Daozu finished speaking, he teleported away. He crossed the boundless world of ice and snow and arrived in the air above a vast ice plain. The ice plain was boundless, and there were countless ice cities on it. It was very similar to the human world. Friend of the human race, long time no see. The snowflakes in front of him suddenly rolled and condensed into a woman's face. She smiled at Shi Xian Daozu. Shi Xian Daozu and the woman communicated with their divine senses. Then, under the guidance of a divine aura, they came to the top of a huge ice mountain in the center of the ice plain. The ice mountain was extremely tall. The top of the mountain was shrouded in thick ice mist. It was mysterious and illusory. Su Fang was swept into the ice mist by a divine aura and appeared in an ice palace. After waiting for a month in the ice palace, Su Fang used the last moments to stay by Xuanxin's side. Shi Xian Daozu's thought tore through the air. Su Fang, ancestor snow of the Ice Soul Holy Tribe, has agreed to accept Xuanxin as a disciple. She will let Xuanxin enter her holy snow palace to cultivate. Master and Ancestor Snow will continue to discuss Dao. Stay in the ice palace for a few days. Su Fang was surprised and overjoyed. He moved Xuanxin out of Fu Yao's cave. Su Fang, take care, tears flashed through Xuanxin's eyes. Then he was shrouded by Shi Xian Daozu's divine aura and disappeared from the ice palace. Senior sister, Yu, and Luo have all left. Xian Xin has also left. It won't be long before the holy maiden also leaves. Su Fong sighed in his heart. His mood suddenly became depressed. The discussion between Shixin Daozu and Ancestor Snow of the Ice Soul Holy Tribe would not end in a short time. Su Fong settled down in the Ice Palace and entered Fu Yao's cave to cultivate. The calamity had already engulfed the human world. Su Fong was fighting for every second he had. He hoped to have the power to protect himself in the calamity. He sat cross-legged in the formation of time inside Fu Yao's cave. A consciousness came into his mind. Since the human race cannot tolerate this master, so what if this master betrays the human race? As soon as Su Fong's consciousness came into contact with some information in the depths of his mind, an extremely familiar, yet strange voice rumbled in his mind like spring thunder. Su Fong felt his soul and Dao heart tremble. He almost lost control of his consciousness. Holding on to his Dao heart and will, scenes of memory scrolls unfolded in Su Fong's mind. These memories were the thoughts left behind by the Divine Lord of 10 Directions in the auxiliary tower of Su Ruo Valley. When Su Fong obtained the My Lord of 10 Directions seal, he also obtained a portion of the memories and the thoughts. In the past, Su Fong was too weak and could not see what was in the scrolls. Now that he had advanced to Dao Profound and cultivated Jiuquan's limitless scripture to the peak of the 4th level, he could barely see some fragments in the scrolls. In the scrolls, a red-robed young man with sharp brows and starry eyes was exuding a violent and ruthless aura. He was wild and unrestrained as he crossed swords with experts again and again. Those experts were all top experts of the human race. Some of them were not unfamiliar to Su Fong. Su Fong also saw the figure of Shixin Daozu, but it was just a glimpse. The void shattered, laws collapsed, and mystic worlds were destroyed one after another. Su Fong seemed to have experienced it himself. It made his heart palpitate. His Dao heart and will trembled continuously, almost shattering. The entire scene was very blurry, as if it was a scroll that had faded due to the passage of time. The only thing that Su Fong could see very clearly was the My Lord of 10 Directions seal that the red-robed young man used. Su Fong gained a lot in his heart. There was also the red-robed young man's aura. Su Fong sensed the familiar aura of Jiuquan's limitless scripture and the majestic primordial energy. You want to kill this master because you want to steal this master's supreme Dao technique, but you use the banner of the righteous path. Since the human race cannot tolerate this master, so what if this master betrays the human race? After an earth-shaking battle, the red-robed young man was swallowed up by the boundless divine power. He gave a roar filled with disbelief and anger. Suddenly, the peerless expert in the scroll that killed the red-robed young man seemed to sense something and looked at Su Fong's consciousness. How is this possible? Su Fong was instantly shocked. That expert was just a remnant of a thought, an image in the scroll of memories, but it seemed to have intelligence and could sense the existence of Su Fong's consciousness. Such unfathomable power almost scared Su Fong out of his wits. Boom! There was a thunderous boom in Su Fong's mind. His consciousness was shaken out of the scroll of memories. Su Fong felt a sharp pain in his head. His spirit also became dispirited and listless. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged for more than 100 years before he returned to normal. The human experts want to steal the Dao technique of the Divine Lord of 10 Directions. They must be after the Jiuquan's limitless scripture. That's why they want to kill Divine Lord of 10 Directions. That Divine Lord of 10 Directions obviously did not die. He escaped to the primal chaos outside. The reason why Master wants to kill Divine Lord of 10 Directions is obviously not because of the Jiuquan's limitless scripture. Otherwise, Master would not be tempted even if I have the heaven-bestowed scripture of the Jiuquan's limitless scripture in my possession. Su Fong speculated. Unfortunately, his cultivation level was still not high enough. He could not obtain too much information from the scroll of memories. Suddenly, the thought that Su Fong left outside Fu Yao's cave sensed a cold and clear voice coming from outside the Ice Palace. Human cultivators, quickly come out and meet me. Chapter 30:18. Su Fong walked out of the palace and saw a strange woman from the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Although the woman's body was made of flesh and blood like a human's, her skin was crystal clear, as if it was carved out of ice. The woman was wearing a long robe made of snowflakes. Her hair was snow white, and her face was as if it was carved out of perfection. If such a woman went to the human world, countless men would go crazy for her. It was a pity that this woman exuded an icy aura, and her eyes seemed to be frozen. Su Fong couldn't help but shudder. He couldn't help but want to keep a respectful distance from this woman of the Ice Soul Saint clan. Are you the Tao companion of Ancestor Snow's new disciple? The Ice Soul Holy Clan woman's eyes flashed with cold light, and her voice was crisp and pleasant to the ear as she swept Su Fong. Su Fong nodded and said, "Yes, what's the matter? Come with me." The Ice Soul Holy Clan woman said coldly. Su Fong asked in surprise, "Where are we going?" "Don't ask too much. Ancestor Snow wants to see you. Just follow me." The Ice Soul Holy Clan woman flew into the air. "Ancestor Snow wants to see me? Did something happen to Xuanqin?" Su Fong was full of doubts, but he still followed the woman. They flew over many ice cliffs. They came to an ice platform floating in the air behind the ice peak. There was a mysterious door on top of it, and he didn't know where it led to. "This is the token to enter Ancestor Snow's palace. You can enter directly from that mysterious door. You can go by yourself." The Ice Soul Holy Clan woman took out a mysterious ice-like token and handed it to Su Fong, then turned around and left in embarrassment. "Are all the people of the Ice Soul Holy Clan so cold?" Su Fong smiled, grabbed the token, and flew to the ice platform. Buzz, the token automatically released a protective divine aura, enveloping Su Fong, and then disappeared without a trace from the mysterious door. As soon as Su Fong disappeared, the Ice Soul Holy Clan woman and another man appeared outside the ice platform. Looking at the mysterious door, the woman laughed coldly and embarrassedly. "Xuanqin, you took away my qualification to enter Sacred Snow Palace, so I'll let your Tao companion die without a burial place." The man from the Ice Soul Holy Clan laughed and said, "Even the true genius of my clan has a 50% chance of dying after entering the Frost Path." Looking at his aura, the human cultivator has just advanced to profound Tao. "Sure, Yue, you don't need to worry about anything. That human girl named Xin Xin will definitely be rejected by the geniuses of our clan if she enters the Holy Snow Palace through her connections. I will sow discord between them and guarantee that she won't live long in the Holy Snow Palace." Who knew? Shixin Daozu brought Xuanqin to the Ice Soul Holy Clan. With Daozu's strength and his friendship with Ancestor Snow naturally agreed and gave Xuanqin a spot among the geniuses of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. This spot belonged to the woman from the Ice Soul Holy Clan. The Ice Soul Holy Clan's Sacred Snow Palace, Sacred Ling Palace, and Sacred Soul Palace were the three holy lands that were personally taught by three experts of Daozu's level. Every 10 million years, they would select 3 geniuses from the Ice Soul Holy Clan to enter, so the spots were naturally precious. The woman from the Ice Soul Holy Clan was filled with hatred for Xuanqin, but she didn't dare to enter Sacred Snow Palace to find Xuanqin. Therefore, she transferred her hatred and anger to Su Fong. The profound gate that Su Fong entered naturally didn't lead him to Sacred Snow Palace, but to a place where the Ice Soul Holy Clan's cultivators were tested. It was called the Frigid Spiny Path. The Frigid Spiny Path was extremely dangerous. Many Ice Soul Holy Clan cultivators who entered were directly frozen to death and turned into ice statues. Su Fong was a human cultivator, so the difficulty of the Frigid Spiny Path and the shackles he faced were 10 times more difficult than the Ice Soul Holy Clan's cultivators. In the eyes of this man and woman, how could he not die? Jingyu, you used your token to let that human cultivator enter the Frigid Spiny Path. If we find out, it will bring you a lot of trouble. I already have a plan. The woman named Jingyu smiled coldly. Her body suddenly shook, and she spat out a mouthful of blood that was as transparent as ice water. Her aura suddenly weakened. When Su Fong entered the profound gate, a spatial distortion suddenly wrapped around him, and he was immediately sucked into the twisting formation. Bang! In less than a breath's time, as the formation jumped, Su Fong felt everything return to normal. When he focused his eyes, he found himself in a long corridor of ice that stretched as far as the eye could see. Waves of cold air constantly assaulted him from all directions. Su Fong felt that his body and Tao Palace were about to be frozen stiff. Even his thoughts were somewhat frozen. This is definitely not Sacred Snow Palace. I was tricked by that woman of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and immediately understood that he had been tricked. Why did that woman of the Ice Soul Holy Clan set me up? Su Fong's heart was full of doubts. He had stayed in the Ice Soul Holy Clan's Ice Palace ever since he arrived and hadn't even seen a single member of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Su Fong speculated that the reason the woman had set him up was obviously because of Xuanxin. No matter what, let's get out of here as soon as possible. Su Fong grabbed a ray of sword chi and landed it on the ice beside him. Unexpectedly, only a white mark appeared on the ice, and it didn't shake it in the slightest. There was only one way out, and that was to keep going forward until he found the end of the corridor. Su Fong activated a ray of mysterious yang energy to dispel the cold air around him and slowly flew forward. In less than half an hour, Su Fong suddenly came to a halt. A shadow emerged from the side of the corridor and quickly transformed into a puppet refined from ice. It charged at him as soon as it appeared. Su Fong unleashed a beam of sword chi of slaughter and slashed it at the ice puppet. With Su Fong's current strength, this ray of slaughter sword chi was enough to kill a Dao Lord. However, when it landed on the ice puppet, the puppet's figure only swayed and a crack appeared on its body. Immediately after, it charged at Su Fong with surging cold air. Break! Su Fong blasted a punch out. The slaughter aura in the bloodlust Dharma body transformed into a series of sword formations, instantly enveloping that puppet and finally grinding it to death. Su Fong kept flying forward. The ice puppets he encountered along the way became more and more. Each puppet's strength was the height of lower Dao Profound Realm. Furthermore, these ice puppets' bodies were incomparably sturdy, far surpassing the divine bodies of human cultivators. Such tall puppets, Su Fong was not afraid. But he was not clear where this place was, and also did not know how many puppets would be waiting for him. He had no choice but to conceal a portion of his strength. Continuing for 3 days, Su Fong felt that the consumption was incomparably astonishing. But the number of ice puppets did not decrease, and instead became more and more. In the end, they virtually completely blocked the corridor ahead. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this time, Su Fong sensed that there were several extremely unfamiliar consciousnesses currently paying attention to his every move. These ice puppets seemed to be used to test the cultivators of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Could it be that Ancestor Snow wants to test my strength? Su Fong felt a burst of astonishment in his heart. Master said that if I want to win the respect of the cultivators of the Ice Soul Holy Clan, then I must have great strength to make them respect me. No matter what purpose they have for me to come here, I will do my best to display my strength. I must not let the experts of the Ice Soul Holy Clan look down on me. The stronger I display my strength, the more stable Xuanxin's position in the Holy Snow Palace will be. Thinking of this, Su Fong's eyes flashed with a resolute look. Nine Sun's heavenly wheel. Su Fong no longer concealed his strength. Using the power of the mysterious sun, he displayed the shapeless heavenly wheel. 9 divine suns condensed into a wheel of light, emitting an astonishing mysterious sun divine might, rolling towards the ice puppets ahead. Chi! 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 The surrounding ice began to melt. Before the ice puppets could get close to the 9 suns' heavenly wheel, their bodies rapidly melted. Wherever the wheel of light went, nothing was left unscathed. Every time the wheel of light dimmed, Su Fong's condensed consciousnesses would continue to merge into the wheel of light. Just like this, he crushed everything along the way. Although it was not so easy, it was unstoppable and unstoppable. Along the way, Su Fong estimated that he had killed at least 10,000 ice puppets. Finally, he saw the end of the tunnel. The consciousnesses that were paying attention to Su Fong were the experts of the Ice Soul Holy Clan in charge of the Frostblade Path. When they discovered that Su Fong was not a cultivator of the Ice Soul Holy Clan, they were very surprised at first. When they discovered that Su Fong's cultivation was at the lower stage of the Dao Profound Realm, they all believed that speed would lead to certain death. Who knew that Su Fong would suddenly unleash the 9 suns' heavenly wheel and pass through the first round's test with an unstoppable momentum? Those Ice Soul Holy Clan experts' initial contempt turned into shock. So powerful. The puppets that appeared in the first round of the Frost Blade Path have the same level of strength as the target's cultivation. This human cultivator is only at the lower stage of the Tao Profound realm. He actually killed so many puppets in one go and passed the first round smoothly. He's clearly a leapfrog. Who is this human cultivator? Our clan has never interacted with the human race. Why would a human cultivator appear in the Frostblade Path? I heard that a human Daozu expert came to our clan to discuss the Dao with Lord Snow Ancestor. This human cultivator might be that Daozu expert's disciple. The human race is a bottom-tier race in the primal chaos. It's really hard to imagine that there's such a powerful figure among the human cultivators. This person's speed of passing through the first round has far surpassed the record set by our clan's geniuses in the past. He might be able to leave his name on the Frost Sea Ice Cliff. This is just the first round. There are still 2 more rounds behind. This human cultivator is already extremely lucky to not die in the Frostblade Path. He still wants to leave his name on the Frost Sea Ice Cliff? Only our clan's most outstanding geniuses have the qualifications to leave their name on the Frost Sea Ice Cliff. A weak human cultivator? How is it possible? That's right. The human cultivator coincidentally has a divine ability that restrains the puppets. That's why he got lucky. The next 2 rounds won't be that easy. Those 2 rounds must be passed by grasping our clan's supreme Dao arts and divine abilities. It's extremely disadvantageous for human cultivators. Even if he's a leapfrog, he can forget about passing through. Chapter 3019. At the Frozen Summit. In the depths of the ice and jade palaces, in a remote palace, Xian Xin was sitting with her legs crossed. Whoosh, 3 cultivators of the ice, soul, holy clan directly passed through the array and entered the palace. This ice palace was specially assigned to Xuanxin. Outsiders could not enter without a token. However, these 3 people forcibly broke through the barrier and entered the palace. This behavior was extremely rude. Xuanxin could only suppress the anger in his heart. He bowed and said politely, "Xuanxin greets the 3 senior sisters." It turned out that these 3 women of the Ice Soul Holy Clan were the descendants of Ancestor Snow. They were the peerless geniuses of the Ice Soul Holy Clan and had entered the Sacred Snow Palace before Xuanxin. The tall woman in the lead raised her eyebrows and shouted coldly, "Lowly human, what qualifications do you have to be my fellow disciple?" The woman on the right snorted disdainfully, "You entered the Sacred Snow Palace by relying on connections, and you want to be on the same level as us? Sooner or later, we will drive you out of the Sacred Snow Palace." Xuanxin could only swallow his anger and take out thousands of peak best quality pills. This one has just arrived at the Sacred Snow Palace and does not know the rules. Please forgive me, senior sisters. This is just a small token of my respect. These pills were all given to Xuanxin by Su Fang. Peak best quality pills were extremely precious in any mystic world of the human world. In order to gain a foothold in the Sacred Snow Palace, Xuanxin could only reluctantly take them out. Our Ice Soul Holy Clan feeds the divine beasts with human garbage, but the divine beasts will not eat it. You give us this garbage? The woman on the right sneered. She waved her hand and rolled out a white cold chi on the pills. The 1,000 precious peak best quality pills instantly turned into ice shards and fell to the ground. Xuanxin was furious. He gritted his teeth and asked, "What do you want?" "Take out all the high-grade ice, soul, chilling spirit pills that Master gave you." The woman on the left shouted coldly. The Frost Soul Chilling Pellet was the supreme elixir of the Frost Soul Holy Clan. Although these disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace were of noble status, they could only get 100 Frost Soul Chilling Pellets every 10,000 years. When Xuanxin first entered Sacred Snow Palace, Ancestor Shui rewarded her with 1,000 pills. This was out of consideration for Xixian Daozu. Who would have thought that these 3 disciples of Sacred Snow Palace actually intended to ask for all of them? Without waiting for Xuanxin's reply, the tall woman waved her hand and made a grabbing motion in the air. She grabbed a storage ring refined from ice jade out of Xuanxin's body. Then, she forcefully erased Xuanxin's consciousness and blood aura from the storage ring. After sensing it for a while, she directly sucked the storage ring into her body through her palm. Xuanxin's strength was far inferior to the 3 of them, and he was also an outsider who had just arrived at Holy Snow Palace. Therefore, he could only let the three of them plunder him. Only then did the three disciples of Sacred Snow Palace let go of Xuanxin. When they were about to leave, suddenly, a clear and crisp trembling sound came from outside the palace. Oh, it's the trembling sound of the Frost Soul Ice Cliff. It seems that some senior brother or sister broke the previous record in the first stage of the Frost Soul Path and caused the Frost Soul Ice Cliff to tremble. If I can make the Frost Soul Ice Cliff tremble one day, even if it's just once, I'll be satisfied. Don't daydream. Although we are all disciples of Ancestor Shui, how many of us can really make the ice cliff tremble? Only the real peerless geniuses, the supreme figures who will stand proudly at the peak in the future, are qualified to make the ice cliff tremble. As for us, it's impossible even in our next lives. The three disciples of Sacred Snow Palace talked as they shuttled through the formation. Only Xuanxin was left in the ice palace. His eyes were filled with humiliation, anger, and helplessness. On the south side of the huge ice seal, there was an ice cliff that was as smooth as a mirror. It was hundreds of feet high, and the names of the geniuses of the Ice Soul Divine Clan were carved on it at different heights. This ice cliff was the famous Frost Soul Ice Cliff of the Ice Soul Divine Clan. Only those who passed the test of the Frost Soul Path and set an unprecedented record could leave their names on the ice cliff. At this moment, the ice cliff was blooming with sparkling and sacred brilliance, shining in all directions. A pleasant buzzing sound came from the ice cliff and spread over the whole ice peak. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Several figures arrived one after another and landed on the square in front of the ice cliff. They were all cultivators of the Ice Soul Divine Clan. Each of them had an extraordinary aura. The men were handsome and stern, and the women were almost flawless. Who broke the record of the first stage of the Frost Soul Path? Could it be Senior Sister Bing Pianxian? No, it can't be Senior Sister Bing Pianxian. She left Sacred Snow Palace to look for spiritual items to break through the bottleneck. She hasn't shown up for millions of years. Maybe it's a disciple who has accumulated a lot of experience and broke the previous record. It's just the first stage. It's nothing. If he can set a record in the next 2 stages, it'll be shocking. More than a dozen Ice Soul Divine Clan geniuses were discussing animatedly. 2 figures stood behind these geniuses, looking at the ice cliff with eyes full of shock. These 2 were Yu and the young man whose spot in Sacred Snow Palace was snatched by Xuanxin. There's only the human cultivator in the Frost Soul Path now. Could it be that he broke the record of the first stage? How's that possible? Even if it's him, it'll be difficult for him to pass the next 2 stages. He'll definitely die in the Frost Soul Path. That's right. The last 2 stages of the Frost Spike Dao test my clan's supreme Dao arts and divine abilities. It's impossible for that human cultivator to grasp my clan's Dao arts and divine abilities. The difficulty of wanting to pass is 10 times and above of my clan's geniuses. Could it be that a mere lower Dao, profound human cultivator can still defy the heavens? Su Fong walked out of the ice tunnel and stepped directly into the ice palace. Little did he know, as soon as he appeared, streaks of ice-cold sword chi gushed out from all directions. The sword chi that filled the sky intertwined into a huge sword formation, enveloping Su Fong in an instant. Chi, chi, chi. Su Fong's defense was instantly broken by the sharp and ice-cold sword chi. His body was pierced full of holes by the sword chi like a hornet's nest. Before blood could flow out, it was immediately frozen. It wasn't just his body. When the sharp sword chi rushed into the Dao Palace, the entire Dao Palace seemed to be frozen. Boom! A crimson Xian Guang gushed out of Su Fong's body and formed a light wheel in an instant. It released scorching, profound Yang divine might, shattering and melting the surrounding sword chi. However, the sword formation continued to attack Su Fong. Under the attack of the sword formation, the Nine Suns' heavenly wheel was constantly worn down. It quickly shrank to less than 3 meters in size and dimmed. It didn't seem to be able to hold on for long. That human cultivator won't be able to hold on for more than 10 breaths before he'll be killed by the sword formation. Should we save him? A weak human wants to break into our frostbite path. He's really reckless. This person is a Daozu's disciple after all. Lord Snow Ancestor has a good relationship with a human Daozu. If this person dies in the Frostspike Path, we won't be able to explain it to Lord Snow Ancestor. Let's save him. Those Ice Soul Holy Clan experts who were secretly watching Su Fang's every move concluded that Su Fang would undoubtedly die. They first snorted disdainfully at Su Fang, then prepared to move Su Fang out of the Frostspike Path. Who knew that at this moment? A chaotic Xian Guang gushed out of Su Fang's body. When the Nine Suns' heavenly wheel was shattered, it instantly formed a chaotic boundary, enveloping an area of 10 meters around Su Fang and protecting Su Fang in the center. Chi Chi Chi. The sword formation's attack constantly struck the chaotic boundary. The incomparably swift and fierce sword energy slashed. It could easily kill cultivators who surpassed the limits of Dao Profound. But the moment it came into contact with the boundary around Su Fang, it immediately vanished into nothingness. It turned out that Su Fang displayed a protective divine might with primordial energy to form a boundary. It was as if he was situated in a world. Although that sword formation was incomparably powerful, it was also hard to breach the defense condensed from primordial energy. Su Fang's figure moved like a bolt of lightning. In less than 10 breaths, he arrived at the palace entrance from the depths of the Ice Palace. That sword energy that filled the sky also disappeared along with it. Su Fang withdrew the defense and took a step out of the door, vanishing from the Ice Palace. That's Heavenly Dao, Source, Energy. I didn't expect that what this human cultivator actually cultivates is a supreme Heavenly Dao. Furthermore, he cultivated such astonishing primordial energy at the Dao Profound realm. Impressive, this human cultivator is truly impressive. When did human cultivators become so astonishing? Those experts of the Ice Soul Saint Clan were all shocked and exclaimed repeatedly. Not only these experts of the Ice Soul Saint Clan, but those geniuses of the Ice Soul Saint Clan in front of the ice cliff also fell into intense shock and exclaimed in disbelief following the trembling of the ice cliff and the blossoming of the sacred Xinguang. On the other hand, Ling Yu and the young man of the Ice Soul Saint Clan were dumbfounded. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. More than 100 cultivators of the Ice Soul Saint Clan appeared at the bottom of the ice cliff. There were also a few disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace among them. Among them, there were 3 women. They were the disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace who had just rushed over for Xuanqing's place. Who is it that can break 2 records in the Frostspike Path? If it's not Senior Sister Bing Pianxian, then who could it be? No matter who it is, that person will definitely amaze the world with a single brilliant feat and rise up against the heavens. One more stage, and it will be over. At that time, we will know who that peerless genius is. Such a person will definitely be a powerful expert in the future. When that person comes out from the Frostbone Path, we must make friends with him. It just so happens that we have just obtained a lot of Ice Soul Chilling Soul pills. The 3 disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace conversed secretly and stared at the ice cliff in front of them without blinking. After a while, more than a dozen cultivators of the Ice Soul Saint Clan arrived. All of them were experts of the Ice Soul Saint Clan. There was even a big shot of the Sacred Snow Palace among them. Ling Yu's eyes were filled with horror when she saw that so many powerful figures had been alarmed. Now that things had gotten out of hand, there was no way to end it. The young man transmitted his spirit sense to comfort her. The 3rd stage is the Illusion Death Divine Mirror. The human cultivator has never cultivated the Dao arts and divine abilities of our clan. It's impossible for him to pass this stage. Chapter 30-20. Su Fang suddenly came to a stop as the formation leaped, arriving in a space filled with dazzling light. He took a closer look. Countless ice mirrors floated in the space, each facing him. Su Fang saw countless reflections of himself in the mirrors. With just one glance, Su Fang immediately felt a sense of confusion in his consciousness. He could not tell whether the reflection in the mirror was him or the one standing here. The ice mirrors were indeed very strange. Each mirror stripped away a part of Su Fang's consciousness, causing Su Fang's Dao heart to be lost and his consciousness to be in chaos. This feeling was similar to someone who had once dreamed of becoming a butterfly. After waking up from the dream, he could not tell whether he had become a butterfly in the dream or the butterfly had become him in the dream. Su Fang's current situation was more than 10,000 times more terrifying than the person who had dreamt of the butterfly. If it was an ordinary cultivator, his Tao heart and would have collapsed in an instant. He would have fallen into a state of confusion and schizophrenia, completely losing himself in the ice mirrors until his primordial spirit was exhausted and his origin soul completely collapsed. The cultivators of the Ice Soul Divine Clan were born with some special innate abilities. Coupled with the Tao techniques and divine abilities they cultivated, they could resist the power of the ice mirrors. Su Fang naturally did not have the talent of the Ice Soul Divine Clan, nor had he cultivated the Tao techniques and divine abilities of the Ice Soul Divine Clan. Moreover, he did not even know what the third test was about. He was caught off guard and fell into a predicament. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Just as Su Fang was about to lose himself, the mysterious Tao runes from the heavenly secret life shrinking technique flickered in the Jiuquan Tao Palace. The Tao runes' aura swept out from the Tao Palace and removed the power of the ice mirrors that were disrupting Su Fang's consciousness from the Jiuquan Tao Palace. Su Fang was finally out of danger. He suddenly felt a chill all over his body. That feeling was truly terrifying, and he did not want to experience it again. In just a short moment, his spirit had become dispirited, and he felt as if he would never wake up again. Furthermore, the power of the mirror did not disappear just because Su Fang stopped looking at the mirror. It continued to attack Su Fang's consciousness, trying to strip his consciousness and absorb it into the mirror. Su Fang had no choice but to cast the Tianji life shrinking art. He kept burning his Tao runes to incinerate the power that was being projected by the ice mirror. Using the heaven's secret life shrinking technique had caused Su Fang's life force to drain away at an alarming rate. This won't do. If this goes on, then even if I'm not suppressed by that strange mirror, I'll exhaust my lifespan and die here. Su Fang was burning with anxiety. In the blink of an eye, Su Fang's mind spun rapidly as he used the heaven's divination solution to make millions of deductions. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind, and Su Fang suddenly became high-spirited. Since the heaven's secret life shrinking technique can resist the power of the mirror, and I have the Destiny Dharma body, those ice mirrors will definitely not be able to threaten it. I can let the Destiny Dharma body completely conceal my aura and then find a way out of this space. Su Fang immediately released the Destiny Dharma body. The illusory Dharma body immediately merged with his physical body, causing him to disappear from the mirror space without a trace in an instant. He did not really disappear, but the power of destiny displayed by the Destiny Dharma body caused Su Fang to exist in the illusory destiny. Not only could he not be seen with the naked eye, but even his primordial spirit could not sense his existence. The ice mirrors lost their target and immediately returned to their normal state. Su Fang's figure could not be seen on the mirrors. How did that human cultivator suddenly disappear? He didn't disappear, but he used a peerless divine ability to hide his figure. Not only can we not see him, but even the illusion death divine mirror can't sense his existence. What kind of divine ability can deceive the illusion death divine mirror's senses? The experts of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe who were secretly watching Su Fang fell into shock once again. Under the protection of the Destiny Dharma body, Su Fang could no longer be affected by those strange ice mirrors. They turned into ordinary mirrors. Su Fang shuttled through countless ice mirrors and searched for a while, but the result disappointed him. He could not find the exit of this space. Is there no exit in this space? Su Fang used the all-seeing eye and looked at the vast expanse of ice mirrors. The problem must be with those mirrors. In an instant, as if the fog had been lifted, everything became clear and real. Su Fang suddenly grabbed a ray of sword chi and landed it on a mirror in front of him. Crack! The ice mirror shattered with a loud sound. As if it had caused a chain reaction, the ice mirror shattered at the same time, and the whole space began to collapse. Su Fang was swept up by a divine power and disappeared from the collapsing space. The ice soul cliff suddenly bloomed with a holy Xianguang, shining on the ice peak. The whole ice soul sanctuary seemed to suddenly light up. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The ice cliff began to tremble violently, and the sound spread through the ice peak and spread in all directions. He broke the record of the third test of the frost snake path. Who on earth is that person? Even if it's dancing ice, it's impossible to pass the 3 tests of the frost snake path in such a short time. An unprecedented peerless figure is going to appear in our ice soul divine tribe. At the bottom of the ice cliff, exclamations rose one after another, and everyone was shocked. The 3 female cultivators of Sacred Snow Palace looked at the ice cliff with disbelief and awe in their eyes. Shuriwe and the young man had completely turned into ice sculptures, and their eyes were full of horror. A figure emerged from the highest point of the ice cliff, and then jumped out. Seeing the figure's appearance, there was a dead silence at the bottom of the ice cliff. At this time, Su Fang's hair was gray, and his aura was weak. His appearance and attire were obviously not of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe, so it was no wonder that the Ice Soul Divine Tribe cultivators were so shocked. As soon as Su Fang came out of the ice cliff, a string of eye-catching divine runes condensed at the highest point of the ice cliff. It was a name, but it was not Su Fang's name, but the name of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe woman, Shuriwe. That was because Su Fang had entered the Frost Snake Path with Shuriwe's token, so the name he left on the ice cliff was naturally Shuriwe. When Su Fang landed on the ground from the ice cliff, 3 Ice Soul Divine Tribe cultivators immediately flew over. These 3 people's auras were void, and their strength was at the same level as Jiu Zhongxing, who was a Dao Saint expert. They were obviously big shots of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe. The Ice Soul Divine Tribe elder in the middle said indifferently to Su Fang, "Human cultivator, the Frost Snake Path is the place where the geniuses of our tribe train. How did you enter?" The expressions of the 3 giants were extremely displeased. The reason was simple. Su Fang's performance was so shocking that he overshadowed the geniuses of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe, so the big shots of the Ice Soul Divine Tribe naturally felt ashamed. Su Fang cupped his fists and said, "I am Su Fang of the human race, and I am the Tao companion of Sacred Snow Palace's disciple, Xuanxin. As for why I entered the Frost Snake Path, this human cultivator is Xuanxin's Tao companion." The 3 Sacred Snow Palace disciples' expressions changed instantly. Xuanxin's Tao companion was so powerful, and Xuanxin's talent was definitely not bad. Moreover, Su Fang had broken the previous record and left a new record that would be difficult for the future generations to surpass. It would definitely alarm Ancestor Snow. The 3 of them had just plundered 1,000 icy soul, freezing spirit pills from Xuanxin. If Su Fang knew about it and reported them to Ancestor Snow, what should they do? Su Fang pointed at Li Yu, who was behind the crowd, and said, "Why did I enter the Frost Snake Path? You can ask her." She said that Lord Ancestor Snow summoned me, but who knew that I entered the Frost Snake Path? I also want to know the reason. Su Fang was not a fool. Although he did not understand the reason, he knew that he had been tricked by that woman. If he did not master a powerful divine ability, he might have died in the Frost Snake Path. Naturally, he would not be polite to that woman. Li Yu. The old man's divine light rolled on the name at the highest point of the ice cliff, and then he looked at Li Yu. A cold and majestic pressure shrouded her in an instant. Li Yu had already prepared a lie, but under the pressure of the old man's majestic pressure, she could not say the lie that she had fabricated in advance. Li Yu had no choice but to tell the truth. You have guts. You dare to use Ancestor Snow's decree. I'll punish you to go to the Frozen Gorge to reflect on your mistakes for 1,000 years. The old man of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan shouted in a deep voice. Frozen Gorge? Su Fang soon learned from the discussion of the surrounding cultivators of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan that the Frozen Gorge was a place specially used to punish the cultivators of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan. The cultivators who violated the rules would be turned into ice sculptures and imprisoned. Li Yu was imprisoned in the Frozen Gorge for 1,000 years. This kind of punishment was neither painful nor itchy. This woman wanted to kill me, but she received this kind of punishment. That Icy Soul Sacred Clan's big shot obviously wanted to protect his clansmen and humiliate me, an outsider. For Xuanxin, I can only endure it. Su Fang was clear in his heart. For Xuanxin to gain a foothold in the Sacred Snow Palace, he could only endure it. Thank you, Lord. Li Yu didn't expect the punishment to be so light. She was surprised and happy at the same time. She quickly bowed to the old man. Wait. A beautiful figure suddenly walked out of the void and appeared at the foot of the ice cliff. It was a woman of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan. She had a flawless face like the other women of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan. At the same time, she also had an otherworldly and holy aura that other women didn't have. The woman's figure was slim and graceful. She was wearing a robe made of snowflakes. Every snowflake had exquisite and mysterious divine runes, which set off the woman's holiness and nobility. Bing Pianxian. Bing Pianxian is here too. Many cultivators of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan were shocked and in awe. They bowed to the woman one after another. Even the big shots of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan looked at the woman with flattery in their eyes. This Bing Pianxian is definitely a powerful genius of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan. Even the big shots have to curry favor with her. Su Fang felt Bing Pianxian's aura and couldn't help but be shocked. Judging from her aura, this woman's cultivation had reached the peak of the profound Tao realm. Her aura was extremely powerful, even more shocking than some of the higher-ups of the Icy Soul Sacred Clan. Chapter 3021. Why does Bing Agile want to punish Shuriwe? Su Fang was surprised by Bing Agile's decision. The old man called Elder Han paused for a moment, then nodded. That's right. She dared to fake Ancestor Snow's decree. Such a disgraceful act should be punished severely. Her cultivation should be destroyed, and she should be expelled from the sacred mountain. Shuriwe collapsed on the ground like a pile of mud and was taken away by a higher-up. Su Fang was shocked. He didn't expect Bing Agile to have such great power in the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Even the big shots of the Ice Soul Holy Clan obeyed her. Then Bing Agile looked at Su Fang and asked indifferently, Human cultivator, are you satisfied with my punishment? Thank you. Su Fang cupped his fists at Bing Agile. No need to thank me. I just don't want you to look down on me and say that the Ice Soul Holy Clan is protecting our clansmen. Bing Agile nodded. Then she glanced at the name on the ice cliff and said, I'll give you 10,000 years to recover, then prepare to fight me. Whoosh, the surrounding cultivators of the Ice Soul Holy Clan were in an uproar. Bing Agile wants to challenge the human cultivator? Bing Agile is the #1 cultivator of our clan's younger generation. Our holy ancestor said that she will definitely become a Daozu in the future. She wants to challenge the human cultivator? What an honor it is to be challenged by Bing Agile. Many cultivators of the Ice Soul Holy Clan were whispering. They looked at Su Fang with envy, as if it was a great honor to be challenged by Bing Agile. However, Su Fang shook his head and said, I'm sorry, but I don't accept your challenge. Bing Agile raised her eyebrows. That's not up to you. Bing Agile challenged the human cultivator, but he refused. He doesn't know what's good for him. I think he's guilty. How could a human cultivator break the record set by our clan's genius in the Frost Saber path? He must have cheated. This human cultivator dared to defy Bing Agile's will. She suppressed him directly. The cultivators of the Ice Soul Holy Clan discussed fervently. I just said that I'm not interested in accepting any challenges. Sorry. Su Fang was about to leave as soon as he finished speaking. Bing Dance suddenly said coldly, Your Taoist companion is called Xuanqin. If you don't accept my challenge, there won't be any place for her in Holy Snow Palace in the future. Su Fang's eyes shone with a cold light. Are you threatening me? Bing Agile said, Yes, I am threatening you. If you refuse, I will do as I say. However, if you accept my challenge, and if you're lucky enough to defeat me, not only will I promise you that I will take care of your Tao companion in the Sacred Snow Palace, I will also give you a great fortune. Su Fang asked, What if I lose? Bing Agile said, If you lose, I won't make things difficult for your Tao companion, and I can guarantee that she won't be bullied in Holy Snow Palace in the future. Su Fang thought for a moment, then agreed decisively. Okay, I accept your challenge. After 10,000 years, I will come to you. I don't need 10,000 years. 1,000 years is enough. You are so seriously injured that it will take you at least 1,000,000 years to recover, but you only need 1,000 years. It seems that you have a powerful time Xianbao. Then 1,000 years is the limit. Bing Agile nodded. Her figure blurred quickly, turning into a cloud of ice mist that melted into the void and disappeared without a trace. A high-level member of the Ice Soul Divine Clan asked someone to take Su Fang back to the Ice Palace where he had lived before. Many cultivators of the Ice Soul Divine Clan took a look at the name on the ice cliff and left the square in front of the ice cliff with shock and doubt. The three female disciples of Holy Snow Palace quickly returned to the Sacred Snow Palace and then went straight to the palace where Xuanxin lived. Xuanxin, just like the last time, the three of them directly forced their way through the formation. The tall woman in the lead shouted coldly at Xianxin. Xuanxin didn't expect the three to return. His heart sank. He quickly bowed and asked politely, "Senior sisters, what can I do for you?" The tall woman took out a storage ring from her palm and flew it to Xuanxin. Xuanxin was shocked and stunned. This storage ring was the one that had been taken away before. "Here is your frosty soul freezing elixir. Don't spread rumors and ruin our reputation," the tall woman said coldly. She didn't explain anything, and then the three left. Xuanxin grabbed the storage ring and found 1,000 upper-grade frosty soul freezing elixirs in the storage ring. Not a single one was missing. What happened? Xuanxin was stunned and puzzled. He couldn't figure out what was going on. Inside Fuyao Cavern Mansion, Su Fang sat cross-legged in the chrono formation. He began to urge the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine to devour the vitality and blood in the corpses of the Chrysalis clan cultivators. At the same time, he used the Yang reversal technique to quickly recover his life and energy. In the chrono formation inside Fuyao Cavern Mansion, the flow of time was 60 times faster than normal. 1,000 years outside was equivalent to 60,000 years inside Su Fang's cultivation inside Fuyao Cavern Mansion. Actually, he had amazing recovery methods. How could he need such a long time to recover to his peak state? In less than 10,000 years, Su Fang not only recovered his lost lifespan to normal, but his life and cultivation also improved by a lot. At this time, Su Fang began to cultivate his mantras and abhijnas. He mainly focused on the Jiuxuan Wuji Sutra, the Heavenly Mystery Solution, the Heavenly Mystery Life Shrinking Technique, the Extreme Black Yang Mantra, and the Yin-Yang Mantra that Dongxian Daozu gave him. His abhijnas mainly focused on the formless heavenly wheels and my Lord Seal of 10 Directions. The various avatars and abilities were also rapidly improving in different ways. Settling down for over 50,000 years, Su Fang's cultivation improved quite a bit again. Within his body, Tao Palace, and on his Dharma body, another heavenly mark appeared. This signified that his current cultivation already reached middle stage lower Tao Profound Realm standard. His various abhijnas and abilities also improved by a lot. Being agile challenged me not on a whim, but for another purpose. What was she trying to do? Su Fang guessed being agile's motive, but he could not figure it out. The agreed time of 1,000 years was soon up. On this day, being agile transmitted her immortal soul consciousness. Human cultivator, time is up. Have you recovered to your peak state? If you have not, I can give you more time. No need. Very good, follow me. Su Fang walked out of the palace. Under the guidance of Bing Agile's immortal soul, he flew out of the huge ice mountain and came to the sky above the ice plains. He saw Bing Agile's beautiful figure standing in the air. Bing Agile's immortal soul light swept Su Fang's body. She found that Su Fang had recovered to his normal state, and a strange color flashed in her eyes. I didn't expect that there would be such an extraordinary cultivator in the human race. Let's go. Bing Agile nodded at Su Fang, then flew towards the depths of the ice plains. She came to the sky above a glacier and said, "This is the place." Su Fang suddenly asked, "Can you tell me why you suddenly challenged me?" Bing Agile stared at Su Fang, then smiled slightly. "You are indeed smart. There's no harm in telling you the truth. The reason why I challenged you was not because of your amazing performance in the Path of Frost Spines. It was because I encountered a bottleneck and needed an extremely rare spiritual item. I had no choice but to come to a dangerous place and find a powerful helper. So you chose me? With your identity, it shouldn't be hard to find a helper 10 times stronger than me in the Ice Soul Sacred region. That place is very strange. Once one's cultivation surpasses the Tao Profound Realm, one will suffer unbearable shackles. But the effect on Tao Profound Realm cultivators is not great. And among the Tao Profound Realm clansmen in the Ice Soul Sacred region, it is hard to find a suitable helper and I coincidentally found you. What place is that? And what treasure is there that even you feel it is so precious? I can only tell you now. The treasure that I want to obtain is not only useful for me to break through the bottleneck. It also has astonishing benefits for you, especially your Tao companion. If you want to know what treasure it is, then take out your full strength and see if you have the qualifications to know. Being agile, who seemed weak but revealed a holy aura, revealed a rare heroic spirit of a woman. I'm going to make my move. Ice Heaven Spike. Being agile released her thoughts and suddenly appeared in the sky above Su Fong. In an instant, the icy fog in an area of 100 miles rolled. The icy aura instantly enveloped Su Fong, turning Su Fong's surroundings into ice. The power of ice froze space to form a frozen world. Chi chi chi. Streaks of sharp icicles fell from the icy fog. Before attacking Su Fong, it made Su Fong feel as if his entire body was pierced by the icicles. The Abijna of the Ice Soul Sacred Tribe is indeed extraordinary, but it can't be considered a supreme, great Abijna. Su Fong revealed a domineering smile. He used the formless heavenly wheel and formed a 9 suns heavenly wheel, melting the surrounding ice shackles in an instant. Poof, poof, poof. Before the icicles collided with the 9 suns heavenly wheel, they were melted by the 9 suns heavenly wheel's endless Xianyang divine might, turning into a rain of ice. Finally, they were completely evaporated by the 9 suns heavenly wheel. The 9 suns heavenly wheel rolled up and collided with the icy fog in the air. In an instant, the icy fog was swept away. Su Fong shouted loudly, "Take out your most powerful Abijna. Otherwise, you're not qualified for me to show my strongest abilities." "All right." Bing Agile's pleasant voice rang out. A layer of cold Xianguang, like moonlight, gushed out from her body. Su Fong felt that the scenery around him changed drastically in an instant. It turned into a mortal world, and his consciousness also quietly changed. His identity was that of an ordinary mortal. Because of his cowardice and inferiority complex, he was bullied by his peers when he was young. His parents died tragically. His engagement was broken off, and he was robbed by bandits. All kinds of misfortune followed Su Fong and eroded Su Fong's Tao heart, trying to make him submit. If I didn't obtain the Origin Holy Mirror and the Purple Cloud's Dharma Spirit in the mortal world of the Pansong universe, perhaps my fate would be like this. If is after all an if. I now have the ability to control my own fate. No disaster or difficulty can make me submit. Chapter 3022. No matter how the illusion changed, how it attacked Su Fong's Taoist heart, and how it affected his primordial spirit, it could not shake his Taoist heart at all. His primordial spirit was still conscious. At this moment, he was like a bystander, experiencing all kinds of setbacks and pain in the illusion, but he would not sink into it. This human cultivator's Taoist heart is extremely strong. My ice illusion realm could not shake it. No wonder he could break 3 records in a row in the frigid spine path. It seems that I was right. This person is the one I'm looking for. Surprise and joy appeared in Bing Pianxian's eyes. Thousands of miles away from the battle between Su Fong and Bing Pianxian, many cultivators of the Ice Soul Divine Clan were watching from afar. That human cultivator is really powerful. He is actually safe and sound in Bing Pianxian's ice illusion realm. Bing Pianxian has the innate ability to create ice illusion realms. She once trapped an expert of the Divine Clan who was 1 realm higher than her in the illusion. In the end, her Taoist heart was damaged and her will was almost wiped out. She later went into secluded cultivation for thousands of years to recover. The human cultivator was trapped in the ice illusion realm and was not affected at all. It is really incredible. Bing Pianxian's most powerful divine ability is not the ice illusion realm. Moreover, her cultivation is 2 levels higher than that human cultivator. No matter how extraordinary he is, he will be suppressed by Bing Pianxian in the end. The cultivators of the Ice Soul Divine Clan were discussing animatedly. It was not until now that they had to admit that Su Fong could break the record of the frigid spine path. It was not by luck, nor was it as some people had guessed before that Su Fong used some cheating method. However, they did not think that Su Fong could surpass Bing Pianxian. In the end, he would still be defeated by her. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. As soon as Bing Pianxian's voice fell, phantoms formed by her thoughts flashed out from between her eyebrows and appeared around Su Fong in an instant. A total of 3,000 phantoms formed by her thoughts danced around Su Fong. Their graceful figures contained a strange Taoist rhyme and released a divine power, forming an ice space where the energy and laws of the area belonged to Bing Pianxian. Roar! Roar! Those graceful figures suddenly transformed into ice dragons, ice phoenixes, and all kinds of powerful ice beasts. They roared and charged at Su Fong from all directions. What a powerful divine ability! Su Fong's divine light changed slightly as he unleashed the 10,000 celestial wheels. Streaks of light wheels rolled out and collided with the powerful ice beasts. Rumble! The light will shatter the surrounding ice shackles and shatter the ice beasts. Light and shadows flashed continuously in the world as more and more ice beasts charged out. Those ice beasts were not illusions, but were condensed from the laws and energy within the world of dancing ice. The strength of each ice beast reached the height of the peak of the upper, Tao profound realm, and they were unkillable unless one used a powerful divine ability to shatter the world of dancing ice. Bing Pianxian was indeed worthy of being the number one of the younger generation of the Ice Soul Saint clan. Her strength even surpassed that of Wu Tian and Dongxin Daoyan. My Lord's 10 Directions seal, break. Su Fong also knew that the 10,000 celestial wheels alone could not fight against Bing Pianxian. If it continued to drag on, it would be exhausted sooner or later. Hence, he directly unleashed the My Lord's 10 Directions seal. The shocking divine power of the 10 Directions seal exploded, forming a world that was under Su Fong's absolute control. The surrounding ice shackles were shattered and the laws collapsed. The ice beasts that charged over were also reduced to dust in the collision and finally dissipated into nothingness. Then, the divine power of the My Lord's 10 Directions seal extended rapidly to the surroundings, colliding violently with the world of dancing ice. Boom! The world of frozen ice collapsed, and Su Fong's My Lord's 10 Directions seal shattered along with it. Bing Pianxian staggered, but immediately stabilized herself. Su Fong was forced back dozens of miles, and his aura seemed to be dispirited. On the surface, it seemed that Bing Pianxian had the upper hand in this confrontation. Bing Pianxian stopped attacking and stared at Su Fong. Human cultivator, you are very extraordinary. If your cultivation was at the same level as mine, even I would not be your opponent. I have to admit that your potential is not inferior to mine. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly and did not say anything. Although the My Lord's 10 Directions seal was extraordinary, Su Fong's strongest abhijna was not the My Lord's 10 Directions seal. If it was a real battle of life and death, Bing Pianxian might not be Su Fong's opponent. Of course, Bing Pianxian must have a more powerful trump card that she had not used yet. The cultivators of the Ice Soul Saint clan who were watching the battle from afar were all shocked when they heard Bing Pianxian's words. Bing Pianxian was the #1 genius of the Ice Soul Saint clan. The Supreme Saint clan of the Ice Soul Saint clan had once evaluated Bing Pianxian and said that she could become the 4th Daozu of the Ice Soul Saint clan. In the minds of the Ice Soul Saint clan cultivators, although the human clan outnumbered the Ice Soul Saint clan, it was a low-level and weak race that could not be compared to the Ice Soul Saint clan. The human clan cultivators were naturally far inferior to the Ice Soul Saint clan cultivators. In their eyes, the human clan was a low-level existence. Now, Bing Pianxian had actually admitted that the human clan cultivators' potential was not inferior to hers. This completely overturned the Ice Soul Saint clan's understanding. How could they not be shocked? The 3 female cultivators of the Sacred Snow Palace who had robbed Xuanxin of his Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pill heard Bing Pianxian's words, and an inexplicable fear welled up in their hearts. Bing Pianxian suddenly transmitted her divine thought to Su Fong. The abhijna you just used is recorded in the ancient records of my clan. A long time ago, a human clan cultivator came to the Ice Soul Saint domain and fought with us. The abhijna he used was this peerless abhijna. Divine Lord of 10 Directions? The Divine Lord of 10 Directions came to the Ice Soul Saint clan? Su Fong was not surprised. However, there was nothing strange about it. Shixian Daozu had come to the Ice Soul Saint clan to hunt down the Divine Lord of 10 Directions. It was not strange that the Ice Soul Saint clan had records of the Divine Lord of 10 Directions. Bing Pianxian continued, "Your strength has been recognized by this seat. You are qualified to go to the Extreme Chill Labyrinth with this seat." Extreme Chill Labyrinth? What kind of place is that? What treasures are there? If that place is too dangerous, I won't go even if there are treasures. I don't want to be buried in the Ice Soul Saint domain for no reason. Here is some information about the Extreme Chill Labyrinth and the treasures this seat is looking for. You will understand once you read it. This seat promises that once this seat obtains the treasures, you will have a share. Your Tao companion is in the Sacred Snow Palace, so leave everything to this seat. Su Fong was not in a hurry to decipher the information in the Jade Slip. He asked, "Are we not going to the Extreme Chill Labyrinth now? We must be well prepared to enter the Extreme Chill Labyrinth, especially the Supreme Grade Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills. Without Supreme Grade Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills, we will definitely die in the Extreme Chill Labyrinth. In another 100 years, this seat will be able to obtain Supreme Grade Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills. When all the other preparations are ready, we will go to the Extreme Chill Labyrinth. If the discussion between my master and Lord Ancestor Snow ends, I will have to leave with my master. At that time, don't blame me for not keeping my word. It doesn't matter. Daozu's discussion will not end until tens of thousands of years later." The two ended their conversation and flew to the Ice Soul Saint Mountain side by side. The 3 female disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace looked at each other in dismay. Their eyes were filled with horror. The tall woman said with a wry smile, "Junior sisters, it seems that returning the Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills is not enough." If Bing Pianxian learns about this, the other 2 women shuddered. If Ancestor Snow knew about this, they would be reprimanded at most. Given Ancestor Snow's strength and status, she would not punish them too harshly. However, Bing Pianxian was different. A hint from her eyes was enough to make it difficult for the 3 of them to have a foothold in the Sacred Snow Palace. They might even lose their lives. One of the women said with a wry smile, "I still have more than 30 upper-grade Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills, Xuanxin's palace." Xuanxin was cultivating in the palace. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from outside. "Junior Sister Xuanxin, this senior sister wants to see you. Can she come in?" The owner of the voice was none other than the tall woman. "She wants to see me?" Xuanxin was startled. What on earth had happened to make the 3 cold senior sisters suddenly change so drastically? The 3 were welcomed into the palace. The tall and slender woman's cold and unchanging face actually revealed a brilliant smile. What was even more inconceivable was that there was actually a hint of flattery in her eyes. Not only the tall woman, but the other 2 disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace also smiled more brilliantly than her, and their eyes were more flattering. "Junior Sister Xuanxin, this is your first time in the Sacred Snow Palace. I don't have anything good to offer. Here are 500 Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills. Please accept them." The tall woman took out a storage ring and flew it to Xuanxin. In fact, the 3 of them were bleeding in their hearts. They had taken out all their savings and borrowed some from other disciples of the Sacred Snow Palace to get these 500 middle-grade Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills. How could they not feel heartache? Xuanxin did not take the storage ring. Instead, she asked in surprise, "Senior sisters, what happened? Can you tell me?" The tall woman smiled embarrassedly and told Xuanxin about the Su Fong. Xuanxin was shocked. Then, a feeling of pride and gratitude arose spontaneously in her heart. Of course, Xuanxin would not accept the 500 Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills. She was a smart person. Once she accepted the Ice Soul Chilling Soul Pills, the 3 senior sisters would not do anything on the surface, but they might do something sinister and ruthless in secret. Su Fong returned to the Ice Palace. She took out the jade slip given by Bing Pianxian and injected her supernatural power into it. A large amount of information gushed out of the jade slip and was interpreted by her consciousness. It turned out that the Extreme Chill Maze was the most dangerous place in the Ice Soul Holy Realm. It was located in the deep ice under the ice field. The Extreme Frost Labyrinth was a huge labyrinth with many spiritual items growing inside. At the same time, there were many dangers. Even the experts of the Ice Soul Holy Clan only dared to enter the periphery of the extreme chill maze. They did not dare to go deeper. Chapter 3023. The Iceheart Divine Jade was a peerless treasure that could only be found in the depths of the ice field of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Not only was the Iceheart Divine Jade a cultivation treasure for the Ice Soul Holy Clan's cultivators, but could also increase their cultivation speed. Absorbing the essence of the ice energy within had the effect of breaking through the shackles of cultivation. It was also a peerless treasure for human cultivators. If the Iceheart Divine Jade was refined into an Xian Bao, it could nourish and stabilize the Dao Heart. The hardest thing for cultivators to cultivate was the Dao Heart. Which cultivator wouldn't scramble for a treasure that could improve the Dao Heart? If Xuanqin had an Xian Bao refined from the Iceheart Divine Jade, his cultivation speed would increase by at least 3 to 5 times, and his Dao Heart would become even more stable. Such a treasure would naturally be of great benefit to Su Fang's Dao Heart cultivation. However, the Iceheart Divine Jade was extremely rare. In the entire Ice Soul Holy Clan, only an extremely small number of powerhouses had 1 or 2 Xian Bao refined from the Iceheart Divine Jade. It was no wonder that Bing Agile would try so hard to obtain it. Obtaining the Iceheart Divine Jade was definitely not an easy task. Bing Agile had previously gone to the extreme chill maze with the help of a map and found the Iceheart Divine Jade. However, that place was occupied by an extremely powerful ice monster, and it was difficult for her to kill it alone. Cultivators who surpassed the Dao Profound Realm would be restricted in the depths of the extreme Frost Labyrinth, and if other Dao Profound Realm cultivators went, they would not be of much help to Bing Agile. That was why Bing Agile thought of ways to get Su Fang to help. Su Fang pondered for a moment and made a decision. I must obtain the Iceheart Divine Jade. According to Bing Agile's Jade Slip, the extreme chill maze isn't that dangerous. It seems that this trip to the extreme chill maze is imperative. Su Fang cultivated in the Ice Palace for 100 years. Bing Agile also came as promised. The two quietly left the Ice Soul Holy Clan's sacred mountain and headed towards the depths of the ice field. There were many entrances to the extreme chill maze, but the one that Dancing Ice had chosen was in the deepest part of the ice field. The ice field was filled with cold currents and icy substances, so they could not teleport. They could only fly. Flying through the boundless ice and snow, they encountered many ice monsters along the way, as well as storms that swept through the ice plains. Even with Su Fang and Bing Pixie's strength, it was still extremely difficult. Bing Pianxian was from the Ice Soul Holy Tribe, so the shackles of the Ice Soul Holy region were negligible to her. The journey was already a huge test for her, let alone Su Fang. Fortunately, Su Fang's physical body was strong, his mana was vast, and he had the Xian Yang Dharma body. Coupled with his amazing recovery ability, although flying in the air above the ice field was difficult, he was able to keep up with Bing Luxian. He looked very calm. From time to time, Ice Dance would pay attention to Su Fang. She was shocked by Su Fang's strength and willpower. About 100 years, the two of them arrived at a glacial valley. Bing Luxian led Su Fang into the valley and arrived in front of an ice cave. This is a supreme-grade frosty soul pill. Swallow it and refine its medicinal power. Otherwise, when you enter the extreme chill maze, just the extreme cold aura alone will freeze you to death. If you encounter a cold wave, you will die in an instant. Bing Luxian took out a pill that was the size of a pigeon's egg and looked like an ice crystal and handed it to Su Fang. A cold aura made Su Fang shiver uncontrollably. At this moment, he felt as if his soul had been frozen. Su Fang swallowed the pill. The supreme-grade frosty soul pill melted in his mouth, turning into an extremely cold aura that instantly seeped into every corner of his body. In an instant, Su Fang's physical body, Dao Palace, and even his soul seemed to have been frozen. Even his thoughts and consciousness became rigid. The surface of Su Fang's divine body was instantly covered with a thick layer of ice. His entire body turned into a lifelike ice sculpture, completely frozen from the inside out. Seeing Su Fang sealed in ice by the power of the pill, Bing Liuxuan's eyes revealed a mischievous look. How could a supreme-grade frosty soul pill be refined so easily? Even Bing Luxian, the #1 genius of the Ice Soul Holy Clan, had to wrap the pill with her aura in advance to prevent the medicinal power from exploding in her body. Then, she had to refine it bit by bit. Su Fong was a human cultivator. His resistance to the Frosty Soul Pill was not as strong as that of the Ice Soul Holy Clan. It would be strange if he did not freeze after swallowing the pill directly. However, the Frosty Soul Pill was not harmful to cultivators. After a period of time, Su Fong could slowly digest the pill's power on his own. Bing Luxian had deliberately done this to embarrass Su Fong. She was the #1 genius of the Ice Soul Holy Clan, but she could not do anything to a human cultivator. Moreover, Su Fong had broken the record of the Frost Spear sect, bringing shame to the Ice Soul Holy Clan. Bing Luxian wanted to use this opportunity to make Su Fong suffer a little. Who knew? Although the supreme-grade Frosty Soul Pill was powerful and could temporarily freeze Su Fong's Dao Palace, it could not freeze the primordial aura in the depths of Su Fong's Dao Palace. Under the control of Su Fong's consciousness, the primordial aura quickly filled the Dao Palace and seeped into his body. He immediately regained control of his Dao Palace and body. Then, Su Fong activated his Celestial Yang Dharma body. The Celestial Yang Dharma body's Celestial Yang Dharma body gradually merged with the pill's power. The cold aura that had shackled him was also merged with Su Fong. In 10 days, Su Fong had completely refined all the pill's power. He felt a pure and high-level cold aura in his body and Dao Palace. The surrounding ice shackles suddenly disappeared. You refined the pill so quickly? Bing Luxian was shocked and looked at Su Fong in disbelief. She estimated that Su Fong would need at least 10 years to refine the supreme-grade Frosty Soul Pill. Moreover, during these 10 years, his entire body would be attacked by the cold aura. He would definitely suffer a lot. Su Fong had completely refined the pill in just 10 days. He looked as if nothing had happened. How could Bing Luxian not be surprised? What, did I disappoint you? Su Fong snorted. Obviously, he had seen through Bing Liuxuan's bad intentions. Bing Luxian couldn't help but admire him. If all human cultivators were as extraordinary as you, the human race would definitely be the top race in the entire chaos. Under Bing Liuxuan's lead, the two entered the ice cave. The passages in the ice cave crisscrossed, as if he had entered a labyrinth. Waves of icy aura assaulted him from all directions. If Su Fong had not taken a supreme-grade icy soul freezing spirit pill, he would have been frozen into an ice sculpture with his strength if he was trapped in this ice cave. What was more shocking was that the surrounding ice contained an ability to confuse one's senses and primordial spirit. It was easy to lose one's way in here and eventually become trapped. Bing Luxian had a map and had been here once. She had left traces of her aura along the way, so there was no need to worry about getting lost. The two walked down the ice cave's passages. After walking for about 3 months, Su Fong estimated that they were already 10,000 feet below the ice field. The cold aura shackles became even more shocking. Even Bing Luxian seemed to be struggling, not to mention Su Fong. Fortunately, he had taken a Frosty Soul Pill before and could withstand most of the cold aura. As they continued to go deeper, they had entered the true range of the extreme chill maze. The two constantly encountered powerful ice monsters, but they were all below the Dao profound level. They didn't encounter any monsters above the Dao profound level. Su Fong was very puzzled, so he asked Bing Luxian through voice transmission. That's because in the depths of the extreme chill maze, an extremely powerful frost wave demonic sound will erupt. It can even freeze a peerless expert of the Dao Saint level to death. Such a powerful frost wave demonic sound? Su Fong was very shocked. You don't have to be afraid. The frost wave demonic sound in the extreme chill maze will only erupt occasionally. Why can't those experts above the Dao profound realm enter the extreme chill maze? The frost wave demonic sound in the extreme chill maze is very strange. It rarely erupts normally. As long as a cultivator above the Dao profound realm enters the extreme chill maze, the probability of the frost wave demonic sound appearing will increase. So cultivators above the Dao profound realm almost don't dare to enter the extreme chill maze. Those ice monsters above the Tao profound realm naturally can't survive inside. So that's how it is. Su Fong came to a sudden realization. They carefully advanced into the depths of the extreme chill maze. After another 3 years, they didn't know how deep they had gone into the extreme chill maze. Waves of cold air blew. Ordinary cultivators would be frozen to death in a short time. The surrounding profound ice released waves of cold aura that caused one's consciousness to become chaotic, causing all kinds of illusions. The ice monsters they encountered also became stronger and stronger. Although Su Fong and Bing Liuxuan's strength was extraordinary, they were also exhausted and constantly stopped to recover. After advancing intermittently for several months, Bing Liuxian suddenly transmitted her divine sense to Su Fong. We're almost there. Be careful. Su Fong and Bing Liuxian stopped in the tunnel, then condensed their thoughts and carefully flew forward. In less than an incense stick's time, they arrived at the periphery of a cave. Looking inside the cave, they saw that the cave was 300 meters in size and was surrounded by profound ice. From the top of the cave, icicles hung upside down. Those icicles were different. They didn't look like ice, but like jade. At the tip of the icicles, there was a small portion that was completely like jade, emitting a faint cold xinguang. That's the Ice Heart Divine Jade? That's right. Looks like there's a lot of them. It shouldn't be hard to get, right? Not hard to get? Those Ice Heart Divine Jades are very difficult to collect. And if you look carefully, it might not be easy. Su Fong and Bing Liuxian secretly communicated with their thoughts. Su Fong looked carefully and finally found the ice monster that Bing Liuxian was talking about. It was a mantis-like monster that was almost transparent. It lay on the ground and merged with the profound ice, without any aura. If one didn't look carefully, it would be hard to discover its existence. That ice mantis monster was only 3 meters in size, but it gave Su Fong a feeling that it was even more terrifying than facing a peerless monster that surpassed the Tao profound realm. Careful! We've been discovered, Bing Liuxian suddenly warned. Without waiting for Su Fong to react, that ice mantis monster suddenly raised its forelimbs. Chi. Chapter 30:24. Su Fong lost a thought which was not a big loss, but he was shocked by the ice monster's speed. The ice-praying mantis had the innate ability of space, and its attacks could ignore shackles and restrictions. Naturally, its speed was unbelievably fast. Quickly hide your presence. The King of Sabers will be here soon. At this time, Bing Agile sent a message to Su Fong. At the same time, her figure flashed and leaned against a piece of black ice, and a cold aura gushed out of her body. In an instant, she merged with the surrounding black ice, and no one could sense her presence. Obviously, she had used some kind of powerful magic. Chi. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the ice-praying mantis broke through the air and arrived. Su Fong was shocked, and his figure flashed and teleported away. At the same time, he activated the Heaven's secret life shrinking technique and instantly concealed his presence. The ice-praying mantis flapped its wings, and its figure once again broke through the air. However, it lost Su Fong's presence and missed. Its forearms, which were as sharp as sickles, crisscrossed and cut 2 deep marks on the black ice on one side of the ice cave like tofu. The praying mantis circled in the ice cave for a while, and then slowly left, returning to the cave where it was before. Su Fong's figure appeared, and when he saw the marks cut by the ice monster on the cave wall, he could not help but click his tongue. The black ice in the extreme chill labyrinth was extremely hard. Even if he used a high-grade Xian Bao to attack it, he could only leave a white mark on it most. The ice-praying mantis could cut through the black ice so easily. Su Fong estimated that even with his defensive ability, he would be cut in 2. Bing Agile's figure also returned to normal from the state of fusion with the black ice. She looked at Su Fong with eyes full of surprise and said, "Your ability to conceal your presence is extraordinary. I didn't expect you to have so many powerful magic. Even the Ice Soul Holy Clan doesn't have such amazing magic." The magic you used just now was also very powerful. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly and then changed the topic. "The ice monster's strength seems to be more powerful than you said. Even if the 2 of us join forces, it will be difficult to kill it. That ice-praying mantis is the king of the extreme frost maze. It is known as the Saber King, so its strength is naturally extraordinary. Looks like you've already thought of a countermeasure, right? That's right. My plan is very simple. The two of us will divide the work. One of us will lure Saber's sovereign king out of the cave, while the other will collect the ice-hard divine jade. Su Fong rubbed the tip of his nose and said with a bitter smile, I think you definitely won't let me collect the ice-hard divine jade. Instead, you want me to act as bait. You're really smart. A rare smile appeared on Bing Agile's face. Don't think that the ice-hard divine jade is an easy task. The ice-hard divine jade is the essence of profound ice that has been condensed for countless years. It is very difficult to remove it from profound ice. I have the innate ability of the Ice Soul Holy Clan, so it will be easier for me than for you. After a pause, Bing Agile stared at Su Fong and said with a smile, Besides, you're a man and I'm a woman. You won't let a delicate beauty like me act as bait for an ice-praying mantis, will you? Su Fong glanced at Bing Pianxian. She was indeed a great beauty, but no matter what, he couldn't associate her with being delicate. He had no choice but to agree. Bing Agile took out two bell-like xianbao and said, This is a pair of mother and child bells. Even if they are separated by layers of profound ice, they can still sense each other. You and I will each take one, so that we don't get lost in the extreme frost maze. So you've already prepared. Su Fong was relieved. It wasn't hard to lure the ice-praying mantis out of its nest, and it wasn't hard to get rid of it either. However, if it got lost in the labyrinthine extreme chill maze, it would be trapped to death. Remember, you have to delay Saber's sovereign king for at least 6 hours so that I have enough time to collect enough ice-hard divine jade. 6 hours? That's a long time. I'll try my best. Su Fong put away the bells. The two discussed in detail for a while. Then Su Fong released 3 spell bodies and flew towards the cave where the ice-praying mantis was. Once they arrived at the cave, Su Fong immediately used his thoughts to form the Yin-Yang Heavenly Wheel, the Massacre Heavenly Wheel, and the Xianyang Heavenly Wheel. A total of 3 heavenly wheels flew into the cave. Chi-chi-chi. The ice-praying mantis's 2 forearms were like 2 large knives as they slashed at the 3 heavenly wheels. Su Fong's powerful 10,000 appearances heavenly wheels was cut into pieces by the ice-praying mantis. Su Fongdao was shocked. The ice-praying mantis's forearms were even more powerful than the xianbao. Boom, boom, boom. Another 3 heavenly wheels flew towards the ice-praying mantis. Before the ice-praying mantis could react, the 3 heavenly wheels exploded. The impact of the explosion shook the cave. The ice-praying mantis lived in the extreme chill labyrinth and was especially sensitive to the aura of the Xianyang heavenly wheels. It was instantly enraged and let out a sharp, ear-piercing roar as it charged out of the cave. Su Fong's Blood Fury spell body unleashed the Blood Prison soul-slaying blade and slashed at the ice-praying mantis. Then, the 3 spell bodies teleported in the direction of the ice-praying mantis without hesitation. The ice-praying mantis waved its forearms and crushed the Blood Prison soul-slaying blade's Blood Prison World and Blood-Red Blade Radiance. Then, it chased after Su Fong. The ice-praying mantis's figure flashed and appeared at the entrance of the cave. Then, she went straight for the hanging icicles. Whoosh! The space inside the extreme chill labyrinth was very narrow. The 3 spell bodies could only teleport within a short distance. After teleporting out, the ice-praying mantis broke through the air and waved its forearms to tear Su Fong's 3 spell bodies into pieces. Dong! Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound like a heavenly drum rang out from Su Fong's Blood Fury spell body. The sound of heavenly wave vibrated out. The ice-praying mantis was sent flying. It let out a sharp and angry scream. The impact of the sound of heavenly wave released by Slayer's heart caused the ice-praying mantis's internal organs to be severely damaged. One of its wings was almost shattered. This time, it was completely enraged. Fortunately, the ice-praying mantis was injured and slowed down a lot. Thus, the 3 spell bodies were able to escape easily. After half an hour, the spell bodies escaped to a relatively open area. The ice-praying mantis came one after another. At this time, a terrifying divine power that could seal all directions suddenly descended and shackled the ice-praying mantis. In an instant, it formed a world that was completely dominated by Su Fong. It turned out that Su Fong's body had been hiding here for a long time. He had used my Lord's seal of 10 directions to successfully trap the ice-praying mantis. The ice-praying mantis was really amazing. Its forearms were like two blades that could cut through space, constantly tearing the shackles around it into pieces. Su Fong had to release his thoughts to stabilize the world created by my Lord's seal of 10 directions. At the same time, he released his primordial spirit spell body and used the formation of thought. With the help of the formation, the ice-praying mantis was shackled and unable to escape. Su Fong also released his purple fate spell body. The purple fate heavenly dragon roared and released the heavenly way's repulsive force, forming a huge pressure on the ice-praying mantis. It was also thanks to Su Fong's advancement to the Tao Profound Realm. After cultivating for so many years, the power of his spell body and spell body had skyrocketed. Otherwise, not only would it be difficult to trap this powerful ice-praying mantis, he might even be killed by the ice-praying mantis. Time passed by minute, and it seemed so long. Su Fong's consumption was really shocking. The main reason was that his spell body was suppressed in the extreme chill labyrinth. The consumption was several times more than outside. Looks like I can only use the primordial chi to suppress this ice-praying mantis. Even if I can't suppress it, I have to severely injure it. Su Fong could only use his strongest trump card. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to hold on for 6 hours. The primordial chi surged out from the depths of the Tao Palace and instantly seeped into Su Fong's body. Then, Su Fong's figure flashed. He was about to use his strongest attack. Suddenly, rumble. A faintly discernible sound came from the depths of the passageway. It was as if there was a tide rolling in from afar. What is this? Su Fong couldn't help but shudder in fear. Not only Su Fong, but the ice-praying mantis was also very frightened and frenzied. It exploded with all its strength and tore apart the heavy shackles. At this moment, the tide-like sound came from afar. The sound suddenly became as shocking as the raging waves. Cold wave demonic ice sound. Su Fong's divine light changed instantly. He suddenly thought of the cold wave demonic ice sound that Bing Pianxian had mentioned. Before he could react, a cold wave instantly filled the entire passageway, forming a powerful shackle that shackled Su Fong and the ice-praying mantis. Even with the ice-praying mantis's strength, it couldn't move an inch, let alone Su Fong. Whoosh! A shocking cold wave swept over, sweeping Su Fong and the ice-praying mantis along the passageway. Bing Pianxian, who was harvesting the ice-hard divine realm, reacted much faster than Su Fong. Before the cold wave erupted, a rune talisman in Bing Pianxian's body suddenly emitted a violent noise. That rune talisman was something she had specially asked Ancestor Snow to condense before entering the extreme, chill maze for the first time. Its only use was to sense the cold wave demonic ice sound. As long as there was a demonic sound erupting from the depths of the extreme, chill maze, the rune talisman would immediately sense it. Although the cold wave demonic ice sound only erupted occasionally, once a Tao Profound Realm cultivator was swept in, it would be very difficult for them to survive. Bing Pianxian also made such thorough preparations for the sake of being careful. She didn't expect that the cold wave demonic ice sound that rarely erupted once in 10,000 years would suddenly erupt at this time. Bing Pianxian teleported out of the cave without hesitation. She burned her cultivation and fled to the top of the extreme, chill maze at the fastest speed. Fortunately, the higher she went, the weaker the cold wave demonic ice sound's power. In the end, Bing Pianxian crushed another ice talisman and finally withstood the cold wave. The human cultivator definitely can't escape the cold wave demonic ice sound. What should I do? Such a peerless genius actually died in the extreme chill maze. It's really a pity. This person is a little too unlucky. Why would the cold wave demonic ice sound appear the moment he reached the extreme chill maze? Bing Pianxian calculated that Su Fong would undoubtedly die and felt a wave of regret in her heart. Master has an extraordinary relationship with that human Daozu. This human genius is that Daozu's disciple. How should I explain it to Master when I return? Chapter 3025. Su Fong was engulfed by the cold wave, and the only thing he could do was go with the flow. The cold wave was truly astonishing, and the surrounding shackles rendered Su Fong completely powerless to resist. Even the ice-praying mantis could not move at all, and was instantly frozen into a block of ice. Fortunately, Su Fong had used primordial qi to form a layer of defense on the surface of his skin, keeping the cold wave at bay. Otherwise, he would have been instantly frozen to death by the astonishing cold. Moreover, there was an extremely strange sound in the cold wave, as if countless ice demons were shrieking at the same time, attacking Su Fong's Dao heart, will, and consciousness. Su Fong only managed to hold on for a moment before he lost consciousness under the impact of the sound of the ice demons. After an unknown period of time, Su Fong suddenly regained a sliver of consciousness. His body also suddenly regained its senses, and he could feel weight from the state of weightlessness. After a series of crazy falls, he landed heavily on the hard and cold ground. Su Fong's bones were broken, and his flesh was mangled. Su Fong felt like he had been smashed into a meat patty. He had completely lost control of his body, and could not move at all on the ground. It was as if only his soul was left. Fortunately, Su Fong had the heaven-piercing Blood King vine, which had fused with every corner of his body. Although his body had been smashed to pieces, the heaven-piercing Blood King vine was extremely tough, and the blood threads in his flesh were undamaged. Otherwise, Su Fong would probably have been smashed into meat paste. As he urged the heaven-piercing Blood King vine to wantonly devour the life essence of the chrysalis cultivators to recover his body, he condensed a thought and flew out of the Dao Palace to observe his surroundings. The scene that he saw shocked Su Fong. He was currently in a space that was about a dozen miles wide. Above the space was a huge whirlpool, like the eye of a storm. The terrifying cold wave was all around him, circling and whistling, emitting waves of ice demon sounds. The space he was in was right in the eye of the storm, and the circling cold wave formed a small, peaceful space here. Apart from the shocking pressure and shackles in the space, the temperature was not as cold as the extreme chill maze. It was obvious that he had been sucked into the eye of the storm by the cold wave. Fortunately, he used the primordial qi to protect his body. Otherwise, even if he didn't freeze to death, he would be torn to pieces by the terrifying cold storm. The ground wasn't made of mud or rocks. It was a thick layer of profound ice. It wasn't any ordinary profound ice either. It was Ice Heart Divine Jade. Within a radius of a dozen miles, the ground was filled with Ice Heart Divine Jade. It turned out that from the eye of the storm, there was a constant stream of cold aura being compressed into divine jade. Ice shards kept falling and piling up on the ground, forming a thick layer of material. This was the Ice Heart Divine Jade. After taking a closer look, Su Fong was greatly disappointed. It turned out that the ice shards floating down from the eye of the storm quickly melded with the ground as soon as they hit the ground. The Ice Heart Divine Jade on the ground was incomparably hard, and it was impossible to cut it open. Su Fong estimated that if he didn't hesitate to consume his Grand Mist energy, he should be able to dig out some. But the consumption of Grand Mist energy would be far too astonishing. Moreover, no matter how much Ice Heart Divine Jade he obtained, it would be difficult for him to get out of here. It was easy to enter the eye of the storm, but it was extremely difficult to get out. Su Fong noticed that there were many broken bones on the ground. The body of the ice-praying mantis also fell not far away. Its entire body had been torn apart by the cold storm and then smashed to the ground. It would be strange if it didn't fall to its death. However, the two sickle-like forearms of the ice-praying mantis were intact. It could be seen how hard they were. Su Fong also discovered that there were some intact skeletons on the ground. They were obviously not the skeletons of human cultivators, but those of the ice-souled divine tribe. There were also some ice monsters that had already melded with the divine jade on the ground. There was also a skeleton that was still in a cross-legged position. It was obvious that it was still alive after being sucked into the eye of the storm. In the end, it was trapped here alive. The cultivators of the ice-souled divine tribe, who could survive after being sucked in by the cold wave, must be extremely powerful. They must be peerless experts at the level of Dao Saint. Even they were trapped to death here, let alone me. Su Fong's heart sank. Let me recover my physical body first. Su Fong took a deep breath and calmed his breathing. Then, he focused on recovering. The heaven-piercing Blood King vine was indeed extraordinary. After swallowing wantonly, The originally withered life force in his physical body became vigorous again. As the blood qi surged, his broken physical body began to recover rapidly. After more than 10 days, Su Fang's physical body finally recovered to the point where he could move freely. With a wave of his hand, he sucked the ice-praying mantis's sickle-like forearms into his body. This thing was extremely hard. It was definitely not weaker than a king-grade Xian Bao. If it was refined into a Xian Bao, it would definitely be extremely sharp. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could get out of here. Then, Su Fang began to search the space, hoping to find a way out. However, he knew that the chances of getting out of here were very slim. In the space, the shackles were shocking. Su Fang's sensing ability had almost lost its effect. It was difficult for him to sense a large area. And what is that? On the ground in the center of the space, there was a depression about 1 zhang in size. At the bottom of the depression, there was a milky white liquid that was emitting a sparkling and cold xianguang. Above the milky white liquid, there was a palm-sized snowflake-shaped object floating. It looked like it was carved out of crystal. It was exquisite and flawless, reflecting rays of brilliant light. It was magnificent. Although Su Fang did not know what it was, from the aura of the milky white liquid and the snowflake, he could tell that these two objects were peerless treasures. They were even far superior to the Ice Heart Divine Jade. I'm rich. I'm rich this time. Su Fang's eyes shone with vigor as he strode toward the depression. Suddenly, very abruptly, an old voice sounded from space. If you don't want your soul to be frozen, I advise you not to have any ideas about the Ice Heart Flower and the Ice Bone Jade Essence. Instantly, every hair on Su Fang's body stood on end. The space in the eye of the storm was very narrow. Although Su Fang's sensory ability was limited, he could still see everything clearly. He had searched the space before, but other than some scattered bones, he did not even see a ghost. Where did this voice come from? He turned around and looked carefully. Still, he did not see a single person. Su Fang's hair stood on end. Could it be that he had really encountered a ghost? If there really was a ghost, Su Fang was not afraid. He was afraid that it was a powerful monster that lived in the deepest part of the extreme chill maze. Stop looking. This old man is right here. The old voice sounded from one side of the cold storm again. Then, the cold wave surged, revealing a small space about 1 zhang in size. Inside the space, there was a red-robed old man sitting cross-legged. The old man was wearing a red robe. He had a head of white hair and beard, and his skin was as rosy as a baby's. He looked kind and amiable. Su Fang's gaze swept over the old man. He found that the old man's aura was incomparably illusory. He was at the same height as the half-step Daozu, Xianzheng. He was not far from the Daozu's realm. Moreover, the old man was not from the Ice Soul Sacred Tribe. He was a human cultivator. Su Fang was shocked. He hurriedly cupped his fists and said, "Senior, are you a hidden expert who cultivates here? I have unintentionally barged into this place and disturbed Senior's cultivation. Please forgive me." The old man smiled warmly and asked, "I didn't expect to meet a cultivator of the same race in the deepest part of the extreme chill maze. Little fellow, what is your name? Who is your master?" "I am Su Fang, a wandering cultivator from the eastern profound divine realm." Su Fang answered honestly, but he hid his identity. He then asked, "Senior, may I ask who you are? Why are you in the deepest part of the Ice Soul Sacred Tribe's extreme chill maze?" The old man smiled bitterly and said embarrassedly, "I am not cultivating here. I am shackled here." After saying that, the old man lifted his long robe. On the old man's body, a chaotic colored chain pierced through his heart. The two ends of the chain extended all the way to the depths of the cold wave. Su Fang was shocked. He then asked in confusion, "Senior, with your strength, shouldn't it be easy for you to shatter the chain and leave this place? Is there something wrong with the chain?" The old man nodded and said, "You are smart. This chain is made of chaotic black iron. It is called the Soul Shackling Divine Chain. Even a Daozu expert would find it difficult to break it. Moreover, I am not a Daozu, and my vitality is greatly damaged." Su Fang asked, "Senior, who are you, and who shackled you here? There is no need to mention my name. I am already on the verge of death. I am like a pile of ashes. You can call me old man, what remains? The old man let out a long sigh before he slowly explained to Su Fong. It turned out that this old man who called himself Old Man What Remains had been shackled in the cold wave in the depths of the extreme chill maze for 500 million years. 500 million years ago, the foreign races attacked the human race. Old Man What Remains was also a peerless expert of the human race. He was very famous in the human world. In the battle with the foreign race experts, Old Man What Remains was severely injured and fled to the Ice Soul sacred domain in the depths of the chaos. In the end, he was shackled by a foreign race expert called Saint Sovereign Siegu. Fortunately, Old Man What Remains had a fire elemental Xian body. He had an extremely unique and powerful ability. Even if he was killed, he could quickly reignite like ashes and come back to life. Speaking of this, Old Man What Remains' eyes were filled with intense hatred. Damn it! That Saint Sovereign Siegu could not kill me, so he used the soul shackling divine chain to shackle me in the depths of the extreme chill maze. The cold wave constantly invaded my body and Dao heart. I have been tortured for 500 million years. Sooner or later, I will die here. Su Fong also sighed. Suddenly, the old man stared at Su Fong and said, "Now, hope has finally arrived." Su Fong was startled and immediately understood. "Senior, you mean that I can save you?"